Hello, welcome to This War Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Streak Day 89. A little bit later than usual. Apologise about that. But we are in it to win it for you people joining us live. If you listen to the podcast, you don't care. It's as late as you want it to be. Please stay hydrated and stay healthy.
Or earlier, as they'd like to be.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're actually on time for podcasts, right?
Well, yeah, we arrive like wizards, exactly when we want to, I think is the real call. Big shout out to everyone on the Honest Wargamer Patreon. Couldn't do it without you. You guys rock. Today, we are going to, in a couple of hours, be reacting to the wonderful 40k reveal. I say wonderful. Who knows? Who knows?
I'm sure it will be wonderful, Rob. We're not going to assume it's going to be rubbish. We're going to assume it's going to be great, and then if it's not, then...
mock.
Yes, but it will be.
It's going to be the biggest reveal ever of a box set. And
Are
probably
they
their
doing the Sons
best
of Behemoth
box
battle
set.
box?
It's the best box set ever, right?
Wait, what? Have they said it's the best box set ever?
Yeah, they feel it's their best box set ever.
They feel it's the best box set ever, or they know it's the best box set ever.
It's very different.
Semantics.
The whole world is at war at the minute between feelings and facts. So we'll not go down that road. Big shout out to my two co-hosts. We will have three eventually. I'm joined by Mr. Tom Layton below me. Hi, Tom.
Hi, dude. How you doing?
Tom's painting up a stomper. I'm painting up a battle wagon. It's all orky over here. And
I don't
also,
know why I'm painting this thing. It's a
and also
rubbish unit.
Mr. John Scrivens just down there.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
John. How you doing?
I might start painting this guy. One of my
Is that
favourite
Cypher?
loyalists. Yeah, one of my favourite loyalists.
Ooh, fancy.
There you go.
Fancy Cypher. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice.
Look at
Good
him
morning.
painting small models. What a
Good
nerd.
morning. Good morning to everyone who's joined us. We're still waiting for Nick to turn up, but Nick did say he would be late today, so we knew that already. Tomb King Tristan, Bobby Halls, Diadrin, Pete Pratt, hello. John, are you dropping an album? That's up. What up, dudes? You look like you're dropping an album. Yeah, and hello to Twitty, hola, como estas? Non español, if that helps.
We're good, thanks. Yeah, no, we're good. Okay, I can't speak Spanish. I can't listen to Spanish, but I can read Spanish, so it's fine.
Oh, can you?
To a degree, yeah.
Why?
I mean, hi, how are you?
But what degree? Is it 90 degrees?
Well, I can read
45
that.
degrees?
That's a good start. So.
Okay. So Borning Manchild says, I'm way more excited for this than the actual unboxing. I'm not sure if he means this show or what. I don't know what he means.
If he's excited for this show more than the unboxing, then he's got some interesting taste.
Well, my local guys just basically went, so you're doing that stream again where they say something like, this is a really cool model, and we all sit there going, nah, it's shit.
Nah, that's not.
Here's a reveal.
Hey.
Oh, the one from 6 weeks ago. Okay. And I was like,
Yeah,
cool.
that's
So
more like it. There you go.
apparently we're going to do the complete mirror.
No. I mean, we know it's going to be Necrons versus Marines, right? And we know, yeah, I know. And there's going to be some Shield boys in there. And that's about what we know, I guess, right?
And bikes. So
And
basically
and
it's
some new sculpts.
Deathwing
for
and
Necrons.
Ravenwing for me. That's what I'm seeing.
Is that why you're painting Dark
Oh
Angels,
my
mate?
God.
Because you are ready to be usurped by a different faction that isn't meant to be specialised in that, but does the exact same thing better in a few weeks.
Yeah, so Iron Hands bikers are probably going to be better than my Deathwing. My
With
Ravenwing
Grey
bikes,
Shield,
right?
mate. With Grey Shield. Come on.
Yeah.
I just like everyone to know that this is pretty much what the Facebook comments of a 40k thread sound like.
There we go. I mean, I left all those groups.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to ask you about that in a minute. That's actually one of the things I want to talk about today. I want to say big shout out to Jim Vessel being up at 4:30 in the morning. That is early.
Mad lad.
And Jim,
It's because he's doing his vegan yoga, isn't he?
no, but he was on the show last Saturday at this time. So I'm hoping we can make
You've
it.
ruined his body clock, Rob, is what you've done.
Well, I'm
This is your
hoping we
fault.
can I'm just hoping we can make this as we can be as annoyed at this. Could we just do a big shout out for Jim and just tell everyone the Demons Codex sucks and it's
Jim needs a
unfair.
hug. Not just
Yeah,
Demon's
Jim-
Codex, all Chaos Codexes. Come on. He just
This
needs
is
a
something
hug.
that came up recently. If you think about the amount of rules that have been released for Chaos specifically, it's
Yeah.
actually up there with Marines, but they're just of a standard that you don't want to celebrate they exist. Right?
I don't know, though, because you've still got Dark Angels, you've still got Grey Knights, you've still got Space Wolves, you've still got Blood Angels, whereas Chaos just have...
Chaos.
Yeah.
But it's just bits.
And the
It's
fact
just
that
drip
Chaos
bits.
only have as many releases as Marines, whereas I think a better comparison would be Chaos and Imperium.
Yes. Because it's two
Yeah.
basically Grand Alliances, right? It's two factions.
Yeah.
Holistically. Hey, DJ Batman, I hope you are accurate. I had a mate asking about demons in 40k and pointed them to Jim's episode. Nice. Colonel Cabbage, I'm incredibly curious why they have planned to make this reveal interesting since we know nearly all of it. You, John, actually had a really interesting point about this, didn't you? Was it you? John, tell us what you thought.
So if I remember rightly, for 8th edition, when they announced the box and revealed what was in it and did the whole unboxing bullshit, they then put it straight on pre-order, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think they might do. Which
So you're expecting
would
that?
time it then, so that would mean then GW shops in the UK are going to be open from this
Monday.
week,
Yeah.
so Monday potentially. So then it'd be perfectly aligned for them reopening, people coming in and pre-ordering, and then buying a bucket load of stuff that they don't really need.
It also means that the edition itself is going to drop on like payday.
Yeah.
What? No
Right.
way
Which
would
is-
they intentionally
That'd be 2 weeks.
release
Which
something
is
when everyone's got
traditionally
loads
how
of
they
money?
were doing it. So traditionally it was the beginning of June because it was the end of their beginning of their new financial year.
Mm.
So it makes sense to get it as close to that as they can. That's a nice
Yeah.
battle wagon, Rob.
Thanks very much. I
Where's Death Roller? Because that makes it instantly at least 50% better.
listen. Shut up.
I'm using percentages today. I want to sound smart. Is it working?
Hey Rob,
Really
what colour are
smart.
you painting your battle wagon, mate?
Red.
Oh, what a coincidence!
Does it go faster?
I'm also painting my Orcs red.
Well, no, I have initially started with like a red and black theme for my orcs, but I really enjoy the yellow looking orcs as well. So I've done 3 Waz bombs now, 2 are red and 1's yellow. So I might make like kind of the elite units more like the yellowish color. So like standard is going to be red with some other units being yellow. But I've just generally enjoyed painting. The really great thing about orcs is because they're so haphazard, is you can paint them whatever color you want, and each model could just be a fun little exercise for yourself, right?
Exactly.
Not that I'm
my
painting
orcs
them
that way
particularly
as
well. Huh?
It's like my orcs for all my flying stuff and like anything vaguely kind of in the air has got blue as part of its theme, and then most of my stuff's got at least purple and yellow in it. So you get a bit of freedom, right?
Yeah. I think it's awesome. Plus, these orcs were like kind of half done once, not particularly well, and so now
Just
they
came back touching them up.
more than that, just almost reworking them basically. I mean, they're 3 colours standard, but pretty guff. And now I'm going to try and make them into like really nice things. I thought I'd do that while we did the stream.
So Colonel Cabbage has just asked, but won't they get release Pariah out first? They've already made quite massive hints about this whole the books are built for 9th edition, which to me was almost sort of suggesting it doesn't mean
Some
that they're
will
going to
come out
release all the
afterwards.
remaining books. Exactly. And I think they have said once that there may be books coming out after it.
Yeah, I believe I did.
And I think
can't remember whether.
releasing a book isn't a priority to them as much as a new edition, right? Because we're in that weird limbo.
So North of North London has asked, and big shout out to you, loads of love. Hope the film industry kicks back up soon. Do you think we'll see rules revealed? And I think we will. I think what they'll do is a bit of a classic rundown, won't they? They'll be like, here's the model, here's the name, here's its narrative, and here are some of the here are a couple of the rules. It'll be like one of the community articles just expanded out. Is how I feel it's going to be. I hope so anyway. Because if it's just 2 guys unboxing, it'll be embarrassing as shit. Although I'm kind of hoping for that.
I think the Age of Sigmar one they did, they released kind of a reveal with it was a pre-recorded video, and then they went straight to, here you go, you can watch Becca Scott play through the game. So maybe they're going to have something like that as well, where it kind of runs through each of the phases.
Yes.
Corona might have stopped that sort of thing being filmed. You don't know, because I'm imagining they might have got her like over here to do that last time, rather than doing remotely.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't have had time to do it. Yeah, good point.
No.
To have filmed it.
But I think that might have been a plan originally and initially, maybe. So
I'm actually kind of hoping. I want everyone to know. I'm kind of hoping the reveal is actually just them in this setting that I'm in now, kind of at a computer at home, but with like their normal backdrop, just holding up sprues, just being like, "Oh, look at this one!
Can you see this one?" It's like, and this one's the Necrons.
Rob, all we can see is your backdrop, mate. We can't actually see anything but you're holding up there, dude.
Oh, that's even better then.
Oh no, I'm not.
It was Rob's mixtape.
No, I wasn't holding up anything. It was.
No, but Rob, but Scrivo was. Sorry.
It was a North hole.
With Wade saying everything was exciting, I'm really hoping it's Wade and not Eddie, so we get to hear some classic Nikos Wade impressions. That's also been my favourite bit about this. So big shout out to everyone in the chat. I want to know how you all are. Please drop me some messages and let you know. I was going to, Tom, ask you a question, and as part of a larger conversation, because we've still got quite a few. We've still got an hour and a half. Well, more. So, unless they obviously email us out the reveal like they did last time, which is great fun. Yeah, I'm also
Excellent
in.
banner.
So I was going to ask you, I know Wargaming Dad is in the chat, or I think he was. My question is, you left all of the Facebook groups recently for 40k.
Yeah, but
and also
it started off as one at a time, but it wasn't like an intentional, I'm going to leave all of them. It was just, fuck this one, and fuck this one.
Fuck this, and then fuck this one. So my question to you is why? Now I know why. Pretty much, I'll know the answer. But I wanted to talk to you guys about how we disseminate information anyway in our community. I thought that would be good, especially relating to 40k. So, why did you decide to leave them one at a time, or what was it that pushed you away from them?
So when I was scrolling down my timeline, it wasn't so much like a toxic environment, because, as you know, I love taking screenshots of people just saying absolutely daft things.
Yeah.
And posting it on Twitter.
Good.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, exactly. And then reposting it. But what ended up happening was it ended up scrolling down my Facebook timeline, and it'd just be constantly filled with people posting their content with free likes. And I get that. If you're proud of it, I have no problem with you sharing your content. But how much content do I realistically watch at 40k?
Mm-hmm.
I watch Glasshammer sometimes, my mates. Sometimes I watch what Steven does, another mate. And then sometimes I watch some other channels, also mates. So all the channels that I actually really follow are my mates, right?
Yep.
So I'm not really getting any. That kind of content for me personally doesn't really appeal, and it's just spamming my timeline constantly all day. So when I saw a group, and I saw a couple of people with putting their videos on there, and it was popping on my timeline repeatedly, even though I hadn't visited the group in ages, I would just leave that group. So I left I've left competitive 40k 4 times. Because I turn up to see drama, I then steadily get more and more annoyed with that absolute cesspool, and then I leave. And then I come back to see some different drama. And there's no drama, so I just haven't rejoined. So I just kind of got fed up with that, and it didn't really add anything to me, and it just clogged up and annoyed my newsfeed. So I just stopped and got rid of it all.
So I think that's fair. I think one of the I did not expect Tom's issue with Warhammer Facebook groups to be hobby progress photos.
It wasn't hobby. No, hobby progress photos are actually fine. My issue is, here's my watch my Microsoft Paint edited video on the top 4 units in the White Dwarf from April.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Coming from the best player in the world, aka I am number 26 on my faction rankings VITC.
Sub-faction, I'll have you know.
Therefore,
Yes.
I am qualified to have an opinion. It's there are certain podcasts whose Discords I'm banned in where they literally quote their ITC rankings as a reason why you should watch their podcast, and I'm like, okay, bro, fine.
Well,
No.
the problem is we do need, as a group, and this is everyone, me, you, everyone, and I wanted to unpack this box a bit, because I think it's a really healthy conversation as we lead into the reveals.
Unboxing video.
Yes, I'm unboxing our feelings. That's what I'm doing.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
revealing.
I boxed mine up and they
I'm revealing how we all feel. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, it's hard, right? So we need a metric for understanding someone's a good player. Yeah, right.
I don't know. So my thing is, I really hate saying, oh, well, this person's a good player, therefore I should listen to their opinion. You should more listen to the points. But when you know someone is a credible source and doing well, you know their opinion is more likely to be good. So I personally just like, if you see something, you watch it a couple of times, and then if you think this person consistently has good ideas, then you continue watching, and if you don't, then you go. So everyone leaves now.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And we're all feelings based as not only as people, as a community, right?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
and not even as a community, just as people.
Part of that's acknowledging that as well.
Yeah, we emotively react to something. Someone will say, dragoons are good for AdMech, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got loads of dragoons. You must be a genius. Yeah, you must be a genius. Tell me some things. Or battle wagons are good. As a picking up a battle wagon, and you're like, oh my god, this guy definitely knows some things others don't think. And then there's always the danger of groupthink, right? There's always the danger that like everyone is saying these are good. Yeah, like that Unit X is good.
White,
Everyone
right?
says battle wagons are good, therefore they must be good. Yet you don't see them perform particularly well at events. So even though everyone's saying it's good, why am I not seeing so there's that echo chamber and that groupthink that we all have. So I think problematically, I'm gonna maybe get myself in some trouble here. We had Rickard on talking AdMech, yeah. And I thought that was amazing because we had him talking. He was like, "There's different ways to play AdMech. There's this build. There's this way. There's this way." A bit like when we've talked Eldar with you, Tom. Yeah, Shining Spears have always been like a focus that you've like talked about, or Reapers. That they've been a thing.
It's because they fulfill a role that I think is quite rare, and it's quite typical of that role, right?
Yeah.
Especially how I was using them.
No criticisms, but like when we talk about any other unit in the game, you always relate it pretty much. If you guys want to watch to Shining Spears, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. What I'm trying to say is that the game is so vast, it's so difficult to garner and gather this information in a relatable way. But like, well, not in a relatable way. We can definitely gather it in a relatable way because I could just watch someone say something that I like is good, and I'm like, I like that guy. That guy's a genius. Yeah, but the metric of ITC rankings being good, or maybe being on a WTC team being good, or having won 3 events being good. Like
I don't think you can use either of those as metrics, by the way. I don't think just being on WTC teams makes you a good player either.
Yeah, I would.
So it's not like I'm like, oh well, you can't judge it on this thing that I'm actually good at. It's like no.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. How do we judge who is good or what is good? That's and the thing that I think I might get in trouble in a little bit is to and as someone who talks about stuff and wants you to listen to me talk about stuff, I think you can't really trust those people to talk about the things to any like viable degree. You can just accept their opinion, but when they state their opinions as facts, like the metrics are quite
at the end of the day.
It is, but there are players and people who consistently perform well, and they give information about that that's really good. And I would always argue to give that a listen, but not take it as read, right?
Go in with an open mind though, and make sure you actually try to understand the point they're making and understand why they believe that.
Because also a unit could be really good on the tabletop, and it still requires a level of competency from that player. So if you as a player yourself take that unit and go, right, I'm going to win if I use these, and then it doesn't perform that way, you assume that person's information is wrong.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of your own limitations, perhaps.
I don't. I definitely am aware.
I'm very conscious that I'll bring something and it'll do really badly, and it'll be completely on me.
Good.
So
because I will roll.
My thing with this is things like winning lots of events and being on a WTC team and being high ranked in the ITC are all indicators that someone could be a good player, right?
Yes.
But I don't think any of them are the way I judge whether or not I think someone's good or not. No. I think it's entirely down to eye test. So I've lost games to players where I thought, oh, this guy really is not playing well at all because of just how the game's gone, right? And it's just like, it's fine, whatever. That's the nature of 8th edition, and that's one of the reasons why I have some issues with it. But that's okay, it's fine. I still think it's a good, accessible version of the game. It's just not like my personal favourite. That's fine. So a good example of a Team England boys. Now, I've been playing with the Team England boys for a long time. There are some players on Team England who think I'm absolute dog shit. And that's fine. There are also some guys on the Team England team.
What do they think of you as a player, though?
Then we can up that to 100% of being with England players think I'm a dog shit. That's okay. So there are some players in there who think I'm dog shit, and there are some players in there who, for some reason, whenever they get the opportunity, they always drag me onto their teams, or they always practice with me, or what have you. which gives me the indication that I think that they think I'm a decent player, right? So, and that's because of how I've performed in front of those players. Like the ones that think I'm decent, I've played pretty well in front of them. The ones that think I'm awful, I've played actually horribly in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So if you then stretch it out over a bunch of games, it then becomes the eye test, and you can look and see how they're playing and say, oh, they're doing this well, they're doing this well, maybe they could do this better. Now let's build and leave something to be designed. Let's just throw them over to one of the guys who's actually a list rank specialist, and then we're good to go, right? Like you can win plenty of games and events, and maybe you didn't necessarily play particularly well in those games, and you just hit like 5 decent matchups in a row. You understood how to play those matchups, and then you were fine. But if you hit this matchup, then you struggle. Or alternatively, you could be very, very good on the eye test, but you're memeing around and just practicing things, right? And it all comes down to, well, what exactly do each of these players want?
Yes, I think. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there. Not off kilter of what I was saying, but yeah, I understand. Like analyzing skill is hard, but it's even harder to analyze skill based on people who you see online, because people who you see online you can't eye test. Yeah, maybe you could watch them in tournaments or watch them on live streams so you can understand their gaming better. You could watch them talk and being able to be a talking head. The Facebook groups are one of those interesting ones because collaboratively, I don't think anyone shouldn't be allowed a voice. Yeah, I think everyone should be allowed a voice and have an opinion.
Unless they're going to be doing certain things with it, yeah.
Right. Well, of course, obviously.
Yeah,
like
obviously, yeah.
Anything bigoted shouldn't have a voice.
Of course, yeah.
We are intolerant to intolerance. But the it's interesting because you also don't want to wade through loads of crap. This comes off because I saw some rules posted up recently for the scenery rules that we saw from earlier in the week, which I thought was great. I was like, oh, these scenery rules are wicked. But then the comments were so dumb. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Can I just interject here very quickly?
Yeah.
I don't mind the dumb comments. I don't mind the threads and what have you. It's just that when I'm scrolling down my personal newsfeed, I want to see pictures of my mate's new dog. I don't want to see. I'm not,
on Facebook.
Like, I'm not interested in that content. I'm just not interested in it personally. It's not that I'm upset about seeing it. I'm just like, that doesn't really interest me. It's not like, oh, I'm going to rage quit this group because I just seeing all this content that upsets me. It's like, no, I'm just not interested in it. It's like, why? Let's say I have, I don't know how to describe this. Let's say you have a certain like film franchise that you liked as a kid, or a TV show franchise, right? Mm-hmm. And then you grow up, and 10 years later, and it's still going, and you're not interested anymore. Do you still keep following it? I mean, some people do just because it's nostalgia and it's there and it's comfortable and what have you. But I'm just like, it's I'll give my timeline a bit of a purge. So it wasn't anything like personal or me just being annoyed about it. It's just like I'm just not.
Well, no, I think it's a really solid point, and I think also, John. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in this in a minute. And the Merchant Prince makes a really great point in the chat. He says quality versus quantity. Everyone entitled to opinion, but not all opinions. Not all opinions are useful.
To distill that, right?
Well, also we're in a busy world. John, before I move on to the next bit, tell me what your feelings on and Twitch chat. What are your feelings and thoughts on this? Tell me.
I find a lot of the time.
You're quite quiet, John.
Yeah. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you better now.
Yeah, I just moved the microphone a little bit. I'm obviously having issues today.
Today?
Very funny, Tom.
Yes,
to me, I find a lot of the time when people put their opinions, and it is always an opinion on something like Facebook, it's always absolute. This is definitely the only way this can ever work, and it's always in groups. I find quite often people put it from always a competitive angle,
right?
And it's always for competitive match play. This is this will never be usable, or this will always be usable. There's never kind of it's not that good, but you might want to use it in a friendly game just for a laugh. But that never gets discussed. It's always hyperbolic about any units. Yeah, no, but
so I've got 2 points on that. Firstly, because I can relate to those people, because I've often come across as my opinion is absolute and therefore you should treat it as gospel, right? And it's not. That's never how I feel. It's more like if I believe that, I will state it, and then I will want you to demonstrate that I'm wrong, because it's not that I'm like, oh, this is my opinion, and if you try and demonstrate that I'm wrong, I will just just not be like up for it, not listening, and just keep constantly doubling down on my point. I will just present what I think is correct as strongly as I can, and then if you can demonstrate that that's incorrect, then that's fantastic. I would encourage you to do that because that means that I've also grown. What was the other point I was going to make? Completely forgotten about it.
Well, why you think?
Second point. No, I've got it. I've recently been doing some coaching. By that I mean I have just signed up to a coaching service because I was curious, and also it gives me something to practice while we were in lockdown. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mainly because I want to try and be a bit more open-minded and what have you as well, right? And what I discovered was quite a lot of people, I think, understand the answer to a question, right? So they ask a question, they get the answer, but they don't understand why that is the answer. So someone will ask a slightly different question, same ballpark, pretty same question, but with a little bit of a nuance spin on it, and they'll give the same answer, even though within that specific context, it won't be. So one of the most important things you can be doing isn't necessarily learning what to do in certain situations, it's learning how to work out what to do in certain situations.
Yeah, critical thinking over being taught the answers.
Yeah.
It's why any
right?
any of our American bros are listening. It's why your education system's so poor.
Yikes.
So I mean, it's just a fact. Only actual America Canadians, you're fine. Right, some of the because they have to remember information and repeat it on rote, whereas critical thinking is you're given information to analyze. But we could talk about education all day long, and it would not be good for 40k content. But it is under the under the guise of I want to learn, I want to get better.
Yeah.
There's also I want to have fun. One of the key elements I want to do when I play 40k or Age of Sigmar, whatever it is I also want to learn how to have more fun. You know, like one of those really important elements that I want to do is I want to turn up, know that I'm not going to get shot off the board, and therefore have more fun.
I want my opponent to have fun as well. So if I turn up with a really competitive list, I don't want it to be a situation where that person sat there for 3 hours just going, well, I've not had fun for 3 hours, because that's not what I'm in. I don't want to win on those terms.
Yeah, I don't go to my local club anymore. And the reason why isn't because I don't enjoy it. It's because if I go, I want to play a certain type of game. And this kind of comes into the whole minimum size thing as well. I want to play a certain type of game. I want to be practicing for events because that's what I enjoy doing, right? Mm-hmm. I can't get myself invested in a narrative game that isn't like built up for weeks and I've spent ages painting my army so it looks really nice, and therefore it's like a model trains kind of thing. I like model trains, that's cool. If it's like that, great. But if I'm just going to something that's not like a month preparation's worth of stuff, I want to play a practice game, and I want to learn and improve with someone else, right? And if I just go with my World's Grey Knights army, first of all, I can't even guarantee I'm going to play on a board size I actually want to play on now, right?
With the right sort of terrain and stuff, potentially.
Yep, and then I can bring my own terrain, and that's fine. But also, if I just go and I want a pickup game and I plump that on the table, I'm not going to learn anything or have fun. My opponent isn't going to learn anything or have fun. What's the point of me even turning up?
Yep, I understand, and that's the only thing you want to do. So there you go. Let me read what everyone in the chat's saying, because there's loads of great stuff here. I'm only in Facebook groups for conversation, kit bashing. Don't care about the rules discussion, but I do like seeing the community's builds and interesting model ideas. A part of me thinks Games Workshop have a strategy to enable that sort of stupidity because those customers aren't discerning of some of the shady shit they still get up to as a company in the way that they treat their customers. Fair point. I don't think people are actually so absolute, rather it's annoying to write down 1,000 nuanced disclaimers, etc. That could be fair as well. They might because that's also really fair as well. Like you go around the houses and be like, Primaris Marines are statistically, you don't even have to say statistically, Primaris Marines are better than regular Marines. And someone will be like, how dare you talk in absolutes? And it's like, well, what I actually meant was statistically based on empirical information and all of this, they are better at, in a tournament setting, functionally destroying the opponent better than the Marines, which is a lot.
Very small exception, which
that is quite
start going Grav Devastators comparative to the rest of an entire range. It's not even a talking.
But it's quite wordy, is my point. Yeah. So maybe that I think that's fair. MJ Pegasus, I love absorbing content, but I don't like it if you do or do not take this your wrong style of information. Which I can understand that. It's why it's usually better to ask why rather than what. Good point, Flukesy. Loads of love. Adam Jackson loves a bit of critical thinking. I love it when Tom is so candid. There you go.
There you go.
They're better in every way. Shine away from absolutes and cowards. Right. Okay. So we've established that the think tank that is Facebook groups cannot be particularly helpful, especially for critical thinking. Yeah. Although maybe
and especially if you're new, ironically as well, because if you're new and you don't know how to discern this information and you just see a wall of this,
It's overwhelming.
yeah. But where else are you going to go?
Well, there we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the jury. What I would like here right now, because a lot of people will be just randomly tuned in, which is nice, and some people will be the people who are excited about 40k generally. So I'd love your input on where you would go and grab information, like the types of sources you would grab to grab critical information that like is well-rounded and has some like points of discussion, or if not, just some area where you think it's useful. I know for me that tournament coverage and analysis, as well as live stream games, to me feels like the most effective and efficient way to discern and disseminate information. I see good players playing well with armies that are good in a competitive environment, as well as all the other stats from the environment as well. Like I see that Army X has got a 25% representation at this event and has done for 3 weeks at different events around the world. I'm like, okay, well, Army X is particularly popular. Is that because it's just popular or because it's really strong? So for me, tournament information is always the most relevant and pertinent information for me to learn about armies. And again, that also can apply.
You can't have that opinion, mate. You're not allowed to have it.
I said opinion.
They're not hobbies.
I said, said opinion. And what's really important to talk about there, I think, is that when you're better at the game, this is really important for all my narrative bros and people who are like, I don't really care too much about winning. If you're better at the game, you can have more fun. That's.
If you're not worrying about the minutiae of the details behind the rules and stuff, because you've got a good grasp of them, you can then do the tactical thinking and do the plays, and that ends up being more rewarding.
I agree and I disagree to a degree. If you're better,
how many degrees can you get in there?
I don't know.
Several degrees of separation.
So I'm trying to add as many caveats as possible to my disagreement, I guess. Here's the thing: if you understand the rules completely, yes, that's fine. But if you are a type of player who likes to practice the tournaments and what have you, and I'm playing a narrative game, and I see an opportunity to wrap something, and I'm in my frame of mind, and I'm like, oh, because I'm now thinking about the game in a certain way. I'm thinking about how can I best use the rules to my own advantage, right?
No. You are thinking.
You're missing the point.
Okay.
So my point is that if I've been doing that and I've been practicing to get good that way, that's just how I see the game, right? But if I'm playing like a casual game, casual for lack of a better word, and I'm trying to enjoy a casual game, I'm having to fight against that urge.
Okay, well, number one, let's all talk about impulse control a little bit a minute. We could all eat less sugar. That's always really important. We could all sleep more, and we could always drink more water. Impulse control is a problem that we all suffer from. Yeah. Today, I bought myself a fizzy drink, but I managed to get the sugar-free version. So I thought
I just had to finish my point now.
No, it's okay.
I just had to finish it.
So my point is, and some of the guys in the chat are making it here, and this relates a lot to my interview with Mini Wargame Dave that I had the other day, where he was talking about, he's a narrative gamer. He asked me a question which I thought was an odd one at the time, but now it makes a lot more sense. He asked me, did I ever use any of my units in a narrative way that weren't a competitive way? And I was like, well, no, I'm only ever using them in a narrative way because they're war models, right? Their design is to win the scenario, which is the battle plan for some large-scale war. Yeah, so even though berserkers may potentially run off an objective to go and murder something, they have at least enough control that they would think to go in. You can create narrative for yourself no matter what the situation. But the guys in the chat are saying, hold on. Where was it? It was a really good one. I agree with Rob. Oh, no, not that bit. You can always tone down your competitiveness, but it doesn't work the other way around. So, Tom, the thing you were talking about is you can wrap a unit, yeah, right? right? And
It's
you
just
have
one
to,
example, right?
Yeah, you have to fight your impulse not to do that, so
Yeah.
your opponent has a fun time. But because you are able to do that, right? You are able to do that or not do that. So being better means you can control the game and
Right.
controlling.
I see what you mean by better now. Right.
Yeah, and control. So yeah, sorry about that.
it's fine, it's fine.
And being able to control the game means that you can have more fun. Because if you're playing someone who's
Yeah.
new, yeah, you can be rubbish because you know you're being rubbish. I wouldn't advise doing that a lot because you'll get worse. But
Yeah, I get you. Is there
It's
something to be
sometimes
said
nice,
for?
though, to like go and play a new player and just turn up, knowing you're intentionally bringing weaker stuff just so that those toys get to come out of the cabinet occasionally.
I mean,
Is there
there's that.
something to be said for not wanting to be in control? So if I'm in control, I can have a more chill game, right? But if I don't know what's coming next, is that maybe more fun sometimes?
Oh, do you mean like so the yes, the surprise? Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah, like the very first time you stack a couple of CPs on a unit to shoot twice, maybe add +1, it does something. And you're like, this is amazing. This is so awesome. Like I can completely understand your what you're thinking, but I think if you live in utter ignorance, you're more likely to get the feel bads, especially as if you're ignorant that you think everything is good. You walk into the game being like, well, everything is good, and then you put down your 10 orc boys in your orc truck that you've done 5 times, and you're like,
there's a lot of fun to be had for learning a new game.
There is a lot of fun, but there's also in 40k especially a steep learning curve that not everything is as good as each other, which is a valuable lesson to learn. I think early on. I'm going to read some of the Twitch chat stuff out if you guys don't mind. It may be anecdotal, but in person,
we're going to continue to try and add
Before
Nikos
you
to the
do that,
Oh,
Nikos
do you need me
is
to?
here and we can't get him in.
Okay,
Yeah,
no problem.
I can't add him in for a start.
I'll do that
I've
right
sent
now.
him a link and I've tried to invite him. But who's the call host?
It's me. No problem.
Okay. Cool.
Do it right now.
Boom.
And then I'm going to read some stuff out in the chat. Our other co-host is here. Also, thank you everyone for joining us live. Just a quick statement. We obviously aren't the official. We aren't the official feed.
The number of
Nick!
F-bombs currently dropped. Probably
Everyone-
Unofficial.
Everyone, this is Nick Pert, one of the coolest dudes in Warhammer. Hi, Nick.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, you've jumped in the middle of a thing. I'll catch you
Okay,
up, and
catch
the
me up in a sec, yeah.
I'll catch you up, and everyone else who's just joined us. I started the conversation off by asking Tom about how come he'd left a bunch of 40k groups, but he'd done it over a course of time, not in one big sweep. He said that for his personal timeline, he didn't want it to be filled with 40k or Age of Sigmar stuff that he didn't think was particularly interesting for a bunch of reasons. And then we went on to how we learn about 40k better and where we can get those sources from. Does that make sense? And we're about to move into that now, but I'm going to read out the chat first. I'm going to catch us up. So, it may be anecdotal, but in person, walking around a tournament, looking at lists, looking at games in progress, and chatting to people, sharing with friends who were there, what they've taken in an online forum has been a problem that I'm pretty sure 30 to 80% of people don't have a clue what they're talking about. Good. Irish Rider, all welcome. DJ Batman, I read a particularly stupid thread, in my opinion, on Facebook about the Infinity game and how it was unfair advantage for those who knew the rules versus those who did not. Like, what? That's good. Chuckabody, competitive is 2 people trying to beat each other. Narrative is 2 people trying to let the other win. A bit like going through a doorway in London versus everywhere else. In London, people fight to get through first. The rest of the country end up with a gentleman's stalemate. After you.
We should have a game at some point where the way to win is to lose. So we try and take the worst list we can and try and lose the game.
And play it in the worst way possible.
To lose the game.
I don't think in narrative games people are trying to actively lose. I think you just
No.
don't care. You
It,
don't care if you win or
the
lose.
enjoyment takes precedence over winning it.
Yeah.
Well, I
If
don't
it's
think
rewarding
you're.
and deep game and there's some cool engagements, that's all that matters.
But
You're just wanting to roll some
I
dice.
feel this generates a point of view about competitive play, though, that isn't necessarily correct in that
Yes.
competitive players don't enjoy it.
Thank you. And
That's
also,
like
can we talk about how narrative competitive gaming is? Can we talk
It's so
about that? Can
tribalistic,
we stop picking a fucking side? I hate this. And when Dave asked me that question on Tuesday or Wednesday, or whatever it was, so I did an interview with Mini War Game Dave. Go watch it. And he was like, and I was like, oh, I get it. You think I'm a competitive? I've read some of the YouTube comments on the video as well, which were made by I can only describe as knuckle dragging, head butting morons. Yeah,
Okay,
but
cool. What did I call them on Twitter? Can I read it out?
yeah, sure.
No, I genuinely don't know. This isn't. I called him a badger. Yeah, that's okay.
But anyway, Anyway, like how is competitive gaming not narrative? Like when I do jump my Orc boys, I'm picturing my guy, my weird knob, and he's there just filled with Orc war energy, and he teleports the boys, and they got Warpath on them, and they're like thumping their drums, and they charge, just because it's
sticking stuff in his pants as well.
just because it's a tactically astute decision does in no way mean it's not narrative, because it is exactly how it would be in a story.
Ideally, it should be both, right?
Right,
The way that they play the best should be the way that they actually play in the narrative.
Yes.
Exactly. Like, they are the same thing. And it's just wild to watch people say, "Oh, I can't believe you're playing competitively." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Like, so when you watch when you watch like a Marine army with their whirlwinds sat at the back of the board, right, hidden, firing off shots, and someone's like, "That's not very narrative." I'm like, "Are you mental? That's the most narrative way artillery can be fucking played."
Yeah, there's a point if you were having your whirlwinds rampaging up the left flank and charging things and rapping and trapping in combat for the maximum gaming advantage.
Or having your warlord be a guard company commander with 3 shield captains riding around together. It's those times where
maybe they
necessarily
just
narrative.
want to, go and do their thing. It can make sense. Just write a story.
So there is sometimes a slight trade-off. There's only, or like, I think a lot of that kind of tribalism stems down to those previous editions where you did have lists in tournaments that were absolute dog shit, like Tau and other stuff combined together that wouldn't. Yeah, it's like why? I think that's the problem.
But again, that's a holdover. It's not that now. Yeah, understand and
still
move with the
there in
times.
the back of people's minds a lot of the time.
Eldar and Demons.
Doesn't matter. Educate yourself. Get better. I'm on a soapbox today. I'm going to stop. It's because I'm playing Orcs. Right. So Azrek says Ludo narrative dissonance is also a thing, and I agree with you there. And then Adax Almighty says can't wait for 9th edition melee whirlwind lists. Listen, they're going to be brilliant. They're going to be. The idea that superhuman soldiers will make a suboptimal choice kills my suspension of disbelief far quicker than being forced to bite into a pillow by thunder fire cannons. Agreed. Like the idea that some Khorne berserkers who are hundreds of year old tactical killing machines wouldn't, for one turn, for one engagement, go, "Do you know what? It's really important I go and grab that piece of vital intelligence over there and sit on it rather than murdering those things." I get it. They've got murderous rage, but they haven't got uncontrollable murderous rage, or they would have rules.
Control again.
Yeah, or they would have rules where we wouldn't be able to control them, right?
Synapse.
They wouldn't have survived that long if they had had that much impulse control, right?
Yeah, makes no sense. Yeah. Anyway, Nick, how you been? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Irish Minotaur asked in the chat earlier if I had any leaks for anyone today that I'd spotted.
Oh, shit, new 40k leaks.
I don't have any leaks, but I have spotted an interesting rule.
Oh, what is it?
That might be coming out soon. It's here. Like,
that is a pretty interesting rule, to be fair.
That is an interesting rule. I feel that rule's a bit bent.
Yeah, it can bend to whatever angle you want. There you go.
At least it's not broken now.
45, there you go, whatever.
Right, okay, so Twitch chat, and to you three. So, where would you go and grab? So you want to learn to be able to play a little bit better. My suggestion obviously was competitive event analysis and competitive live streams were where I thought being able to learn about being good at the game improves. Where's your sources? You got any sources or anything you'd like to read? Articles, news sites, places to plug? What are you thinking?
I personally, I don't like reading long articles. I know that a lot of people like the Goonhammer ones, and they are great, but they're just a bit too long-winded for me. I just can't be bothered to sit there and read millions, like an essay, like as much as great as they are.
Player.
Yeah, exactly. I like pictures. And listening to things is the best way that I learn about the game. Like just listening to all the different podcasts out there of people digesting the rules and telling me it, even if it's not 100% accurate. I just find it easy, driving or painting or whatever, listening to different podcasts, absorbing the information that way. That's generally how I go about it, rather than reading stuff.
Yeah, I think those Goonhammer articles are excellent, taken with a pinch of salt, but are excellent. Like for me, they tickle an urge for me, and it's been a very long time since I watched a battle report, like a very very long time. Nor would I even bother to watch a battle report. And that's no criticism or disrespect to the battle reports. I think battle reports are excellent. They're great entertainment, and they can also be great education. But I just don't have the time. And also, like a battle report's what? Like some of them vary from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Something in between. I don't know. It just feels like it's a lot. I think playing is probably the best way to learn. Truthfully.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. People learn in different ways. Some people learn by reading the rules and absorbing it that way. But some people, I myself, definitely learn by doing things. So I might read a rule. But then it plays out on the table. Then it sinks into my head. Like if I just read it through once, it might not stay. But definitely just playing through it.
What if
Which is sad right now because we can't play, can we?
Yes.
No, we can't play right now. We can't.
I find that if someone says this unit's really good, until I've put it on the table and had it interact with my other stuff against other stuff, it doesn't have. Without that context, I really struggle quite often. People go, "This is really good." I'm like, "But is it?"
Well, one of the other things is, go on.
I was going to say that's why, like I really like the list. Developing the list process of because you can theory craft it in your head and it's like, right, I think this is a good list, think about it and theory craft it in your head and imagine what it's going to do on the table. Then you play a game and then you reflect on the game afterwards
and then develop and refine like a recipe.
We can refine it. I love that process as a thing.
So Chuckle Putty is agreeing with you. Also, Azrak, I see you making some cheap shots and I love it. One of the things I was going to say was I've lost my point. Oh, damn. Because he threw me off. Yes. So also a unit being good. Again, I keep thinking about that conversation we had with Rickard about the new Mechanica stuff, if you want to go listen to it. A unit being good means it might not fit your play style. Like when Rickard was talking about AdMech, he was talking about very aggressive, in-your-face AdMech, which is never how I've thought of AdMech. I've thought them as gunliney. So I haven't really been exposed. To that information. Does that make sense? So then now he's talked about it, I was like, okay, that really has expanded my mind and how I feel about it all, which is awesome. But the thing you have to remember is you also have a play style, which Tom, I don't know how you feel about this, or Nick or John, but I feel like play styles are either defensive or aggressive. Like you're either a defensive player or you're an aggressive player, or if you can be the best of both worlds, you can either be a defensive or aggressive playstyle, depending on how your matchup suits you. Right? I generally am more of a defensive player than I'm an aggressive player, but that's something I'm trying to develop as a player myself. I'm trying to be a more aggressive player. Tom, I think you're more of an aggro player because you're a WTC face kicker.
I used to be turbo defensive though.
Did you?
I used to be really defensive. Yeah.
I think that's quite a thing that you have to be quite self-aware on as well. A lot of people don't realise that they have a specific sort of style. I think I like to be aggressive, but as a result of kind of getting in my own head sometimes, I do end up being too defensive in lists because I'm assuming I'm going to go second, and back in the day where going second was quite crippling, you then kind of try to build your list around being defensive when you're playing an army that benefits from being more aggressive.
Yeah. So you're trying to make...
It's that weird kind of double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, you're trying to force a square peg through a round hole, right? And then you're like, everyone says this unit is good, but I can't make it work. And it's like sometimes you're the problem, but that's, again, it's not really you. The unit is good, and you are good, but you aren't correlating how you play with how that unit plays, which is also really important as well. K-Dread, my playstyle is constantly shit, which is...
It's a good playstyle to have, though. It's fun.
Well, at least you're consistent.
So Ixab says the guys... Oh, go on.
I was finding that with Orcs. I was playing always in a very specific playstyle. So then when I dropped playing my Dark Angels as a sort of a kind of a palette cleanser, it was quite a culture shock that I was playing essentially a static gunline to some extent. And so it was nice because it made me a bit more aware that there was a different way I could play as well, and I could do all right with.
Yeah, and I think playing different styles of lists, like if you play a gunline list for a while, you learn how to play that, and then if you play more combat based army, yeah, exactly. So if you're playing a more combat army, you might be able to use some of those tricks that you've learned for yourself playing with the gunline. But then, like you said, also you know, if you're facing a good line, you know how they want to play, so you can kind of be aggressive and counter how they want to play, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's like a good analogy for that is I've been playing quite a lot of League of Legends during the lockdown. I found the best way for me to deal with people's champions that they're playing is to have a couple of games playing them, because then you know what the stuff does.
Yeah,
So
you know
I think
what
it
they
works
want.
in 40k, right?
You know what they want to do, so you can avoid doing
it.
that.
Yeah, but you can do that in like an hour and a half on League, whereas it will take you most of a day to do that with just one army, and not even all of one army in 40k. Like system mastery in 40k is, I would argue, close to impossible. But you can have experts with their specific faction versus other factions. And again, I put experts in quotation marks. Obviously, I'm the orc expert. Of the four of us, I'm not the orc expert. And so that's just of the four people on this channel, let alone the people watching. Right, so I'm going to read some of the guys in the chat. Ixab says the guys Val got cast in at Atlanta, Tawny were very good. They were. Big shout out to Adam oh, God. Can someone say his last name?
Camilleri.
Gorgeous
I'm
Adam.
gonna go for that. It's fine. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. Also, want to shout out. And also Paul Murphy. Yeah, great. They did a great job. And Val is always going to pick good people to do that.
That was at Alviova, right?
Yes. Big shout out to
Atlanta.
Tough Years and everyone who has subscribed to us on the channel, by the way. Thanks anyone who subscribes to us, Wargamer. Thank you very much. You get some cool little emoticons you can use. None of them actually in the Warhammer live stream because they're all banned.
As is the word stomper.
As is the word stomper. Big shout out to the Brain Squig. I can see you. Right, next up. Back in the day... right, Angle. I think challenging commonly accepted list archetypes and doing well with unexpected things is the primary mark of a clever player, and they're the ones to pay attention to. Watching someone play a well-known list archetype teaches good unit use, but doesn't necessarily encourage imaginative meta-leading ideas. I think there's a lot to unpack there from Angle. I think we all want to be a special flower in the garden, right? We all want to be like, actually, I don't know if you know, I'm actually running mainly battle wagons, and I'm going to be the best player in the world because I think that they're brilliant. And while I agree, if I ended up going like 5-0 or 6-0 an event with battle wagons, there'd be a really interesting conversation as to why I did that. So you could ask that question as to why. I think that would work. But I think being a clever player sometimes is recognizing also that you can't beat whatever is the great list archetype. Like, you have to just admit to yourself, this is just better. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I had that with the year of playing with my orcs. It got more and more to the point where I went, for my points, all these fun things I liked putting in were actually hampering me, and it got to the point where it became more and more the archetype because it generally gave me a bit more consistency. And it's that horrible inevitability that you want to be unique and bring units of tank busters back then weren't particularly great. I put them in a Chinook, and it just gets shot off the table. And it was just like, sometimes you just have to admit, I would just take the looters and more mech guns.
No, you won't.
But sometimes that is just that the unit you're trying to make good is just really terrible.
Exactly. And you just got to be self-aware of that, right? It's like the beginning of 8th edition, I took a lot of Orc biker lists because I still had them from 7th edition, and it just you can't make some things good because they're just not good enough.
But when you do make that weird off-meta unit or list good,
yes,
the feeling is fantastic.
Oh yes, it's that reward that I play for.
Yeah, I remember watching Nick, your game on Warhammer Live with your Bloodletter Bomb, and it's not like the Bloodletter Bomb was particularly new, but it wasn't played everywhere. And it was definitely on the rarer end, I would say, of some of the lists you would see at the time, because it was a while ago, right? Maybe 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
It was 2018 June.
Yeah, and it was when Knights were just out, basically.
Yeah.
Like Knights were in their full rampage at this point.
Anyway, but you were playing on the stream, and the two commentators didn't have a clue what your army did, and I
was on the stream a couple of games later, and they had the same issue.
I mean, that is a criticism of them as commentators, and got nothing to do with
it's fine.
my main point. No, not you. They are terrible. I double up on that. What I was trying to get to was, sorry, I've actually I don't know. I'm using one of these dropper bottles, a little bit of fun, and I was just pouring myself out some fresh paint. And it didn't come out particularly well, so I gave it a squeeze, and the top popped off.
Oh no, it's splitting everywhere.
And it's splitting everywhere. And so I'm trying to have a salient. I'm trying to make a salient point while also cleaning up all the paint.
Using a wet palette, that would stay fine for quite some time, Rob.
Oh, well, I'm not. So I'm sorry that I'm not a fancy lad with a wet palette. Okay. Anyway,
it's pronounced wet palette, Rob.
Wet.
It's like a wet
palette.
It's a disaster. Look how much paint I've got out there.
Sharpen your painting skills.
I need something that I need to paint red really fast. What was I saying?
I think you were basically saying how amazing I am at playing Bloodletters.
I was.
Yes.
Well, no, what I was trying to say is your opponent's inability to, having played against that a few times, and also the commentator's inexperience with it showed. So sometimes playing stuff that's just a little bit off meta is also valuable, because there's a value in playing something that's different, right?
Yeah, because if you have two players both turn up to the table and they both have well-known meta lists, both players instantly go, okay, I know what that list does and I know how to play against it. But if you have I'm assuming that they're both competent players, they know what's going on. But then if you turn up with a list that your opponent doesn't know how it works or what to play, they are instantly confused and their brain has to work way more than yours does to figure out their overall game strategy, which is an instant advantage for you.
Yeah, I do feel though that there's a difference between turning up to the table and knowing what a list does and knowing what to do against it, right? And a good example of this is, again, Gene-Stealer Cults versus Nids. Everyone knows what Gene-Stealer Cults do. Everyone knows what the Gene-Stealer Cult player they are going to want to do. And yet, when I played Nick at the Invitational of the LGT, I was the first person to do the correct thing. How?
Well, you mean at that event? Is that what you mean?
No, at all.
Oh.
You've never seen anyone screen with the Knights.
Oh, okay. I don't know, because I assume you play that matchups or not.
Nope, that was my third game with the list.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe you're a genius. Let's go for that.
No,
is it because you're Warhammer Jesus?
My point is that people can understand what something does and not be able to formulate a plan that's going to work, right? Yeah. And it comes back to what I was saying about how people know the answer to one question and then they apply it to different things. Like, I play my army this way, so I'm going to do that. Oh, if Gene-Stealer Cults does this, well, I didn't adapt, and therefore I lost the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's about understanding the context of the question, and no one ever seems to understand that, right?
And often the frequency that you see that, for example, Gene-Stealer Cults, I've only ever played it once. Ever. So it's like I've played it the one time. I have no bearing of how it operates from an experience of me playing the game against it. So
to be fair,
I've not got anything to then.
But that's why that's why things like battle reports or podcasts where they talk about that kind of stuff is really valuable if you want to do quite well at tournaments, because the more information you can cram into your head before you go, even if it's not playing experience, is pretty valuable.
So I feel like there's two things you can learn, right? There is what things do and how and why things do it, right?
Yeah, I think how and why is more important.
Yeah,
how and why
it
is more important.
But I don't think you can fit that into necessarily a podcast, and that's why I think the tournament streaming is so valuable. Because you can see what people are doing, and then you've got the time for the caster to digest it and to explain to you why they've given that answer to that question, so that you can learn that critical thinking. That doesn't mean that there's no room to learn what things do and how and the rules for different units and what have you, right? And the different combos. That's one of the things I'm very, very weak on and trying to get better at it. And that's where you listen to things like podcasts and you read articles on Goonhammer and you watch rundowns and what have you, right? Yeah. And that'll explain to you what things do, but it won't explain to you how to beat those things or in what context you need to be a bit more flexible.
It gives you the initial information about what its roles are rather than the context of what that role does.
Yeah, because you can never demonstrate that context. You can't. Yeah. Firstly, you need a visual, and secondly, you need absolute hours.
Yeah. It's not a simple game. It's not a simple game, like which is the other, which is well, no, hold on. Something.
Oh, Tom, you poached the bear.
No, Tom, what is this? Like a year and a half ago, I was like, "Lol, go first, win game. Lol, go second, go home." Yeah, that was me. Yeah, so I think it's simple as shit, right?
But debates, mate. That's what we're here for, dude.
Right, but
Yeah, but
Anyway.
by the end of the year, mate, we'll be the master debaters. It's okay.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait for a game edition that you can talk about. But my point is, I don't actually know. What was it going to be?
My point is, and we'll see if this jogs you. It is a simple game because it's very easy to pick up, but also it doesn't. Once you understand how to critically think about the game, and you understand the different combos that are currently in existence, and you have a good understanding of the general rules, then it is very simple. It's not like, oh, I'm in this situation and there's like 12 things I could do, and one of them might be slightly better than one of the other ones, and it's about which one do I go for. It's very cut and dry if you actually capable of working it out.
Right, no, so here it is. Okay. I know what my point was.
I'm glad I your memory.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Right, okay.
Right.
Okay, I made this same point on Wednesday, and I'm going to... hello, Aceface, by the way. Bulldog, Born in Manchild. Everyone who's joined us, thanks. We are the 40k crew. You can join us every Thursday talking 40k on the War Gamer. And you can listen to our podcast if you've never met us before. But anyway, what was I going to say to you? This is no, I've got it. This is what came up. This is what came up. I know, I've spilled so much red paint. This is what came up on, again, my conversation, because I'm going to maybe put myself out there to do a bunch of interviews, because one of the things that happens when because us three, mainly, Scrivs, I know you're our cute extra, but you've been part of this conversation as well with us, yeah? One of the things that we've talked so much that we've had, like, really intense debates, and we've had, like, but we don't agree, but we've settled on, like,
you understand the perspective.
Yeah. So when someone asks me some really out there questions, I'm like, what the hell? I don't know how to approach that. This is what I'm going to say. 40k is an incredibly complicated game, even to play competently. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, just get all your rules right. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. Even competently, just to get all the rules right, it's complicated enough. Building a list is not that easy. Like, once you're into it, it's pretty, you're like, I could do this time and again, but it's a skill you have to learn. Playing on the tabletop's a skill you have to learn. So, and that's not talking about matchups or anything else. It's complicated, right? So this is the analogy I used on Wednesday. My friends, I've listened to rock music my whole life. I've had loads of friends who are in bands. I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. Whenever my friends like, are you going to come to my gig? I always say, I'm never going to go to your gig. And they go, why? And I go, because you're shit. Right?
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah.
Right? But I pay money to go to a professional gig produced professionally at an event. And I do go to medium level gigs as well. I've been into punk music most of my life, so like, it's not a high bar that I'm particularly saying, but I am saying it has to be a group that have put some really serious and solid work in. What I'm trying to say about 40k is a lot of us think that it's sold as a casual fun game, and I think this is the biggest myth that I think needs attacking. It's really hard to play casually. Because, like, you just sat there with, like...
It's not just a pick up and play. Like,
no, it's not. No,
it's like a ticket to ride. Yeah, I get that. That's fine. And I think we're talking about different contexts, that's all.
Yeah. At the beginning of an edition, there's that false comfort of... Specifically, like, 8th edition, it was like, here you go, you just need the index and the rule book, and you can play. And people got back into it, and then slowly got out of it, because it became more and more complicated with the layers, right?
I still think even then, if we just start at we add nothing else in, we just say that version, just the rule book and the indexes. I think even then, it's very hard to play just casually. It's hard to have put no work in during the week, zero work, just turn up on like a Friday afternoon with your mate and go, all right, let's crack this open. I brought some models. You're like, well, that's not actually a legal army list. Like, okay, next week I'm going to do an hour's work beforehand. I'm going to write a legal army list, and then I'm going to put it down. Okay, I'm here with that. Sweet.
It's a lifestyle, right?
It is. And this is one of the things that confuses me a lot about the conversation about casual gaming and non-casual gaming, is even if you played guitar casually, my girlfriend's brother, Ben, lovely bloke, he loves music. He plays guitar all the time. Yeah, and he's just in. I'm like, what are you doing? He's been in my room playing guitar for 3 hours. I'm like, 3 hours? Like, what? That sounds awful. I would never do that. But I would comfortably talk about 40k for 3 hours, right? Yeah. Or I'd comfortably play 40k for 3 hours. And what I'm trying to get at is, why do so many of us spend so little time getting better at the game? Because if we did, we'd have more fun. That's what I'm trying to get at. Does that make sense? Like he plays
Depends
loads.
what you want to get out
I
of
think
it,
that's a bit
right?
of a jump. But...
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, John. It doesn't matter. If you're playing 40k, why don't you get better at playing 40k? What else are you trying to get out of it? If you're trying to have fun, you'll have more fun being better at 40k. If you're trying to be more narrative, you'll have more fun being better at 40k, playing narratively by being better. If you want to be a good painter, you aren't playing, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
does it matter?
There is still there's the people that are on the outskirts that will occasionally dip in. They don't care about getting better. So someone like my dad, he will literally turn up with the Eldar that he bought 25 years ago and roll some dice.
So same ones
He
as
doesn't
now.
care. Yeah. So, but the meta version,
The current
same
models,
figures. Yeah. But it's just as an example there. It's like he doesn't care, but that's fine. But that's an aberration. That's an exception, right?
It is an
Generally,
aberration.
I do know what you mean though. Like even as a narrative player, because traditionally, if I'm not practicing for an event, I am just having a laugh. But I want to play to that standard. So it's like anything. Your competency, you want it to be to a specific standard at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be getting all your rules wrong because that's not enjoyable for you, and your opponent is going to get fucking livid with you.
Yeah, I think it's actually incredibly irresponsible if someone turns up at an event and they half know their rules. Also,
Not even at an event,
irresponsible.
just in a casual game. If someone
I mean,
spends
yeah,
half
at
the
a
game and then
at a casual
gets
game,
to turn 2 at 11 o'clock at night, and you're like, well, why have I bothered? I've put some effort in. Why haven't you?
And there's my analogy of the band. If you
Exactly.
invite me to your shitty band, I'm not going. If you invite me to your shitty game of Warhammer, I'm not going. Get better. Like,
And that's
get
why a lot
better.
of people don't play people that go to their local clubs. And that Tom justifies that. He wants to play to a specific standard as well.
Yeah, well, I want to play a specific type of game. Like, I want
Yeah.
to play on a specifically 60 by 44 foot mat. Now, don't be an idiot and cut your mats. That's actually stupid. Don't ever do that.
Well, I bought
But
pizza
at
cutter
the same
just
time,
for that.
it's not a minimum if I'm trying to practice for an event. If I'm trying to practice for an event, I want to practice it in an environment that's as like the actual table as possible. And if you want to move some terrain around and we don't have a couple of bits, that's actually more okay than not having the correct size board because it has such an impact on the game. So it's not a minimum for me if I'm playing those kinds of games. I have to play in a specific environment, right?
Nick, what are your thoughts on all this? Twitch chat, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it makes sense. Like, if you're going to play a game, if you know the rules better, you're going to have a better gaming experience. And yeah, it makes sense. Like,
Because you've been trying to get good at Warcraft, right?
yeah, I was literally just about to jump to that. I was going to say, like, yeah, I jumped back on Warcraft 3, and I haven't played it in like over a decade, but I've watched Twitch streamers play it, so I've picked up some knowledge on how to play from that. But then, like, playing it, like the games where I was crap at it, I didn't enjoy, and the better I've got, the more I've enjoyed the games. So I think the same with Warhammer, like, because if you turn up to a game, you may, even if it's just a casual game, and you're not that much of a competitive player, but like you get towards the end of the game and you realise, oh no, I played that rule wrong. Oh, my dudes would have killed your guys in combat then had I remembered that. And then you might go away, you know, it might not be like a big deal, but you're like, oh, I might have had a better game.
It is social contract stuff, basically, isn't it? You want to. The
Yeah.
expectation is you want to have a specific standard of competency.
Well, I don't think it's just you and someone else who having that social contract between you to play the game well. I think it's like it's a personal thing as well. Like you don't necessarily care if your mate knows all of his rules, but I don't know if I go to a game like if I get something wrong and make a foobar in my game, like, you know, and you walk away and feel like you could have done better. Like,
Yeah.
it's always nice to
do your
like,
best.
yeah, know you did
I
the
think
best, yeah, for yourself rather than just
Can I just say a big shout out for the subscription? Thank you very much, and to everyone who's following us.
Loggers.
Appreciate that loads.
wow.
Yeah. You guys are great. Taking the hour it takes to read your rules is a close second on how to get better. Yes, it takes an hour. Like Nick and I completely understand what your point is as well. Like, I think, like, wanting to be good, it does not mean wanting to like the concept of being fun. Like, is such a wild ride, right? Like, you ever see those basketball players? I think about basketball players all the time, right? Like, they're
I
working.
bet you do.
Cheeky. Anyway.
Oh, Dennis Rodman!
Well, no, I don't like Dennis Rodman at all. But
Do you know who my favourite basketball player is?
who?
Me?
Bugs Bunny.
Oh my God.
Space Jam is the best film ever, man.
Okay,
you've ruined
swerve
my
that
point
topic.
now.
Swerve that topic. Carry
Yeah.
on.
There you go.
Chammy82
That's what
says
happens
in
when
the
you talk about
chat.
sport.
I'm historically a Magic player, so I'm new to 40k. But when I'm playing
good
Magic,
job ducking out, mate. Holy shit.
when I'm playing Magic against a new player, I try to engage with them, and often I'm helping to play their deck for them because otherwise they make plays that are just horrible for them. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I do.
You do that when you're playing 40k, right?
Huh?
If you're playing someone relatively new, you'd kind of go, well, actually, what you might want to do is this, and you give them some guidance. You don't tell them what to do, but you suggest things, especially if they're missing a rule and you're spotting it, right?
Have you guys seen the drama with Wizards of the Coast recently?
No, we have not seen that.
So they've been moving their circuit online, apparently, from what I've heard. Obviously, I don't play, and they told a select group of players on their pro circuit that they were doing this, and to get, obviously, with it all being online, you have to grind out those cards in MTG Online or MTG Arena or whatever it is they use. And as these players knew, they had time to grind those cards out, right?
Yeah.
What about all the other players on the circuit who don't know? So one guy found out, and he just put it on Twitter, so everyone knew, so everyone had time to get their cards. And then he didn't tell Wizards who leaked him that information, so they banned him.
Oh wow.
That's a bit harsh.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's why I would always argue if you would like to be involved in a system like 40k or whatever it might be, always be on the outside, never the inside. Being on the inside is only ever danger. There's never. You should never get close to the source of the power. It's always bad, and power corrupts absolutely.
I mean, the MTG players in the chat will know more, but
yeah,
that seems.
Right, swinging it back to... It does seem awful. Swinging it back to 40k, though. Nick says the key for me is keeping players playing so that they can get better, keeping them interested, which it mirrors Tom's point, where he won't go to a gaming environment where he's not playing the game he wants because it's his precious time.
If someone asked me to come, well, also and also neither me nor my opponent will enjoy it. If someone asked me to come and play, then yeah, I'll be down to play, but they need to know what they're getting themselves into, because I'm not one of these... Like, a lot of people have issues with, like, that guy. And that guy's just someone who turns up to the club with a broken list and smacks some kids to feel good about himself, right? Or herself, or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's that expectation, though, right? Where they're going for a casual game and they haven't set the expectation.
And no one enjoys it, apart from the TFT.
I have an experience of that. So ages ago, I played a game. I think it might have been on a stream, right? And we said, we just play like a casual fun game for stream. And I turned up with like a fluffy Necron list. And then some dude turned up with like, I don't know, 7 flying hive tyrants or something like that.
That was me, yeah. That was
just
10,
like smashed
10.
me up.
That was you! That was live!
That was specifically me. I genuinely thought we were playing a competitive game, though. I brought 5, actually, and with a slightly toned down version. To be fair, the next time I brought a Land Raider and let you in. So
Yeah.
Let's. Okay.
I learned my lesson from that one.
Right, so I think we are here, if you guys have just joined us, we are here to react to the live stream reaction of them, of Games Workshop revealing what's in the box, but we already know what's in the box because we've already seen the pictures. So in an exciting moment, how are they going to, what do you think that they're going to do to wow us? Because, I mean, last time, so we've done this now, this will be our 4th time? Or 5th time?
We've done a few. I don't remember.
It's 4. I think it's 4.
I think I've been drunk for most of them, so it's fine.
But the first 2 were awful. The first 2 reveals by Games Workshop were atrocious and done terribly. But they knocked it out of the park for the last one. They had a trailer, they had images, they had all sorts. It was genuinely thrilling. So I'm expecting a lot from them this time. What do you guys think?
I mean, last time there was a lot of... I think what was termed broadcast material, where they were just asking the people who came on to talk about stuff, what the hobby they've been doing.
Oh yeah.
Which, I don't know whether. Material. I'd expect that from shows like us or whatever. But if we're like a multi-million-dollar company presenting a brand new product, I wouldn't necessarily expect that to be part of the show.
No,
it's like going into a boardroom and asking Adam Troke what his Lord of the Rings painting is going.
It does do. Yeah. It humanises them, and when you humanise someone, you're able to sell a product better. So that's always an important factor.
Yes, Eddie, I want to buy that Stomper for you.
leak the 9th edition rulebook online. I hope they do that, just like they did the Sylvaneth Battle Tome. That would be funny. Make everybody shit their pants, including a 44 by 60 cardboard box in the set. So, like,
box.
can we just very quickly touch on the board issue? I know it's been done to death, but and if you want to go and listen to how I feel,
I'm a bit bored of it.
Yeah, nice.
Flat out.
I just think it's becoming I just think it's not as big an issue as it was before.
No, it's got 25% smaller.
Oh damn it! I was going to say that. We're on the same wavelength, Nikos.
But just very quickly, the minimum isn't the minimum. The minimum is the board space. Anyone who says it's the minimum's just, I don't know what they're doing or what they're talking about. It's the board space. The board space is...
They're filthy casuals as well.
Yeah, a 44 by 60, and you're a filthy casual. And as we've already established from the past conversation, if you're a filthy casual, you're doing yourself a disservice and all of us. So there you go, move on. I don't mean that quite so
Fuck how you enjoy your hobby.
Well, no, who's just going, if I don't play with 25% more on board, I am out. This is outrageous.
I mean, people who unravel battle boards, I would imagine. Those people.
The thing is, why would they put a board in the starter box, though? Because we know traditionally the points don't mirror very well in these starter sets, so it's not a playable game, right?
Well, Angle makes a great point. As a game designer, they should determine the size of the board for a point limit. Like, they should determine the size, but they aren't determining the size. They're being cowards, and they're letting the independent tournament organisers have to take it on their own chin, which I think is one of the most cowardly acts I've ever seen. And I think all of the independent tournament organisers deserve a big round of applause from us, in my opinion. Yeah, from just nutting up and just being like, well, Games Workshop have told us that this is the actual board size, but they're being cowards and saying it's the minimum, right? I think it would have been much easier if they'd have just come out and said, we're changing the board size. But anyway, that's all I want to say about that. Not much.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else to add?
I want them to include terrain in the box. Useless things like one tropical tree and 2 corners of ruins, like 3rd edition. I miss that kind of level of terrain.
What, just shit stuff?
They're just like, here you go, here's some scatter terrain that you're never going to use. But it's cool.
So Neil Kerr says, Honest Wargame, big question is what will Warhammer World do? I mean, they only have a realm of battle boards now, right? So we don't know that, because we might also get what is in the box, some new... We know that the Kill Team boards, so they've got access to lots of Kill Team boards. They could comfortably make Kill Team boards. Question to Nick, Tom and John, are you excited about paying the largest ticket price, well, the highest financial cost for a ticket price that's available to play 40k, which is Warhammer World, I think, outside of maybe LVO, and doing all that sort of fancy shit. But in England, at least. Are you excited about playing that and then playing on cardboard boards at Warhammer World?
I love playing.
I don't think it'll happen, but I wouldn't do it. I would put my opinion where my money is. I'd just be like, right, I don't want it.
Okay, so apparently they are live now, so we can start getting...
Are you sure it's not just a...
It's probably just the holding screen.
Just the holding thing. Oh, I love that music, though.
Yeah, but you love listening to me talk more. Stop it. We're about to overtake Reckless already.
Who's that?
League of Legends player.
All right. Oh, well. Oh, thanks everyone for joining us. You should join us every time we are live.
No, not we, as in Warhammer as a section.
All right. Well, what about what about us?
Their
Tom?
Numbers just go.
Yeah, I just watched it. Twitch have recently updated, so it's not like it just refreshes every 5 seconds of a new number. Oh, we're on sub-only chat again. If only I had a bunch of command points I could use in the chat.
And what were you using for?
I don't know.
Responsible comments and serious questions.
Yeah.
Responsible comments and serious questions.
I would. Yeah, hashtag. Well, we're hoping. I actually am banned from the chat, so I can't see the chat, which is a shame because I was banned.
You can't get an alt account because you're streaming. Crap.
Yeah. Well, I mainly wanted to just check out them talking about. I said 500 point Stomper banned me. but that's because one of the mods.
Because you're leaking information, Rob. The Stomper will be 500 points in video edition.
That's just because one of their mods has a personal issue with me, so it's got no actual impact on any of you guys.
Are you sure? I think Nikos is banned as well, isn't he?
Oh, Nick, you banned?
No, I'm not banned.
Oh, I thought you got banned.
No, I just got timed out.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
I I got put on the naughty step for saying something about the Stomper.
I think this,
No,
I always
please
think it's great that I'm banned
Don't.
because I'm like I set up the channel. This is
I will
great.
get-
Big
if-
shout out
if
for
I'm-
Nick. Big shout out to Nick
If I'm
Baton for
gifted a
banging
sub,
me.
I will ban myself within 5 minutes. It's not worth your money. Just don't do it.
Big shout out to Nick Baton for banning me. I'd say I love you, bro, but you're an awful person. So, Bob Monkey Cheese, thanks for subscribing. Yeah, I got shot with my own gun. That's my problem. That's
And that's why you shouldn't have a gun, Rob. Can't be trusted with it.
Ellis, he is a tool. He's just a giant tool. Anyway, right.
Wait, what's chat?
We're just me and Ellis are just. This is an Age of
no
Sigmar
way.
thing, yeah, or Star Wars
Endorse the
Battlefront.
Oh,
Anyway,
I'm used to the chat bullying the actual streamer.
Oh,
Not
Oh, they're in!
Other streamers.
we've got it live. Let's go. It's Eddie and Adam. Oh
Hey,
my god.
I'd just like to point out that the logo doesn't even fit on the box correctly.
and it
doesn't.
overhangs
Good
on the
shout.
left more than the right, guys.
Good shout.
I'm such a dickhead.
That works.
Yeah,
I'll
that,
take
that lack of symmetry is
Yeah, it's really
triggering
upsetting me.
triggering me a lot.
And a mind tool in Photoshop.
Right. Okay. All we need to know is about the Stomper points. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we want. I'm not listening to their preamble. Where's Wade as well? Do you know what? I feel
Yeah,
like
bring
we're
back
missing.
Wade.
I feel like
I
we're
miss
missing Wade. So Nick, could we get a bit of a Wade impression?
Well, it's time to find out what is in the box for Warhammer 40,000. One of you guys in the chat thinks it's going to be in the box. We'll find out soon. Will the Stomper be 500 points? Yes or no?
It's okay. Adam Troke is basically just doing exactly what you did in the Adam Troke mode.
Honestly, it's my favourite thing. I never knew you were good at impressions. That was great. I really want to.
Why is this chat getting all these Twitch primes?
Who?
Why is this Warhammer TV
Because
chat
the,
getting
the,
the
the small
primes?
indie company obviously needs all that money,
Yeah.
right?
How many
subscribe
of
to
these
us.
14,000 people do you think are just on the community website? Oh,
Oh,
Oh, well.
oopsie.
Tom. Oh.
Oopsie. Embedded streams. That's a
Dashme says,
whoopsie.
I can't ask how many points the Stompers are. No, all of you should try. There are ways you can put
Yeah,
Stomper.
So, yeah, there's
You
a
can put
hack,
numbers
there's a
in it.
hack. You can't. They've banned the word Stomper, but
Yeah.
if you spell Stomper with a 5 instead of
Or
the
a
capital
dollar.
S or a dollar, you can still put Stomper in there. So you 5 TOMPA.
Can you say
It's
Can you
okay.
say Astartes
It's a hack.
anymore?
Can you say
Can
yes
now,
with a dollar?
Yeah, Astartes is fine now.
So not only is the chat in sub-only mode, it's now in slow mode where you can only send a message once every 2 minutes.
Did you know?
Is
Did you
it?
know? Did you
Yeah.
know that when? Do you know when I set up Warhammer Live? I actually argued for there never being a sub-service. They were like, and I was just like, no, just make it all free. And they were like, no. They were like, we want that money. And I was like, why? Like, you're selling your own product. I mean, obviously it's a business decision. It was right, but I was like, you're not. It's not particularly like friendly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you. It's what you're using it for, right? It's like how the LCS and LEC are. They lose money, but they're effectively there as a marketing tool for their product, right?
Exactly. Stomper. Oh, there you go. There's some versions. Eggles. No, listen. Eccles is all right. Jabs.
Let's go Stompers. There you go. Someone's from Didcot in the chat, poor bastard.
I saw you, Nikos. I saw
I
you
reckon
post it.
at least 300 people giving it a try to talk about Stompers is great fun.
So, shall we mention the community thing? The community page, by the way, thing with the embedded
I don't think
streams?
so. Don't worry about it. Like
I don't think so.
we'll talk about it later.
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
what happens
big
when
shout.
you do
Can
an
we-
off the cuff
I'm gonna
stream.
hide the chat. I can't be asked to watching it spin past me. It's making me nauseous.
Oh man, you got to get into it. It's like the Matrix. Like. Anyway, big shout out to Bob Monkey Cheese, but also Smorgan being here. Love Smorgs. How you doing? Hope you're well.
God.
Oh, I wrong.
Neil Carr, just look up the quality of the chat when it is sub only and when they open it up for the events like LVO. Honestly, the non-sub chat is genuinely better quality when they do. It
Of course
is.
it is, 'cause people are just spamming Moncaress through the chat whenever someone rolls a crucial roll.
Well, I think so. As someone who has subscribed to
Oh, dash me, you babe.
Parry G Gallister, thank you very much for subscribing. What's happened?
Dash me gifted a bunch of subs.
Oh, dash me. Thanks, man.
Nice.
Thanks. That is because we are most people. Some of you might not know.
And by me.
I'm gonna do a bit of a plug real quick. I'm sorry about this, but most of you might not know that we are 100% free, all of our content, and 100% group funded. So that means that all of you fund us to do what we do for a living, and that's it. So we don't, which means we get to be completely fair. I really enjoyed telling Dave on Wargaming that the other day, by the way. I was like, oh, Dave, everything we do is free. He was like, oh. I was like,
No,
and we just let people.
It works.
Yeah, but also means that we don't. Our opinion is our opinion. So if we think something, we say it. Be it wrong or right, we're not. We don't cow down, do we?
We're bow to the man.
We're not pleasant for plastic.
No.
Is the classic phrase. Anyway, we'll stop talking about how great we are because that's obviously such a shitty thing to do.
It's not very becoming of us, right?
I know, right? I know. Let's be better. Let's be
as
better
well
than
as
that. Yeah. Do you get money from Redbubble products? Jab? Yeah, we do. We sell. We've got a whole bunch of merch. We got dice. We did have
the
a
dice are really
markers.
good, by the way.
The dice are cool, right? Did you get some?
They roll really.
They're really
average.
effective as well. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
They're consistent, which I really appreciate in dice.
But they're consistently good.
It's because we bake them.
Yeah. And
like that.
But we bake them in such a way that Neil Kerr won't be able to work it out.
No, but we bake
So
them
he
like
won't ever
that.
notice that they're weighted.
We bake them like that Kenny Boucher guy did.
Okay.
Anyone want to touch that? Anyone want
Thought
to
you were
touch
going to
that?
make a weed joke there, but no. Okay.
No. Anyone want to touch
Sorry.
that? Yeah, all of you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's get some big balls in this situation. All my merry bros will be like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about right now.
We're on a hype train now.
Oh, nice. What up, Diffie? Do I need to sub chat here? No. It's
Just
also.
Diffie, you need to sub chat always.
You can also type more than once per 2 minutes, Diffie. You can go for it, mate. You can type again now. Lucky you.
But yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about what they're talking about. They are revealing what's in the box, right?
Yes.
Are they?
Does no one know
was
what?
leaked months ago, wasn't it?
It leaked when they revealed 9th edition, wasn't it? Basically, that same day we saw all that shit.
Yeah, we see.
What,
We
when
already
he-
know. We already know what's in the box, but now we get to know the names of what's in the box. And I'm excited for you,
The
Nick,
names
because I
are
think the
great.
Necron. I think the Necron one is the most exciting bit because it's a full redesign, right?
Yeah, bro, it's gonna look cool.
Yes. Because like the marine stuff, we've seen it before, but it's just bigger, scaled up version
Variation
of
to
it.
the theme, isn't it?
Bikes,
It's
we've
that
seen that
Necron
before.
thing. It's that like one Necron big model that just looks like
Yeah, the
completely
weird War of the Worlds type robot thing, which looks awesome. I love it. Yeah, it looks great.
There's a picture that's on Twitter. Is that a conversion?
On which Twitter? Their Twitter.
Oh no, it's just a crypto. No, it's on. No, it's a conversion. Don't worry about it. I was just scrolling down Twitter and I saw a cool Necron. And I was like,
I'm
oh,
almost less excited about what's in the box as a reveal and to find out what the weird shield things floating around the throne dude for the Necrons is in that leaked image.
I wonder how many see-through. We'll take away the see-through rods from the guns and they replace them with see-through rods holding shields across.
The new Necron destroyers look wicked, although they're not in the box. Is that real?
Aren't they?
Well, I guess we'll find out what's in the box in a second, right?
What's in the box?
It also
What's
looks
in the
like
box?
Oh
Let
wow!
me just move it over to
Someone
the
should put their
picture.
Google.
It also
Uh-oh.
looks like the actual floaty destroyers have a bit of a redesign as well.
All right,
Yes.
This is Nikos's head floating in the corner. I've replaced the box in the middle of the stream with Nikos's head from Skype. That's worked quite well. That's much better.
This is the third rework
fact,
of
no,
Necrons, right?
That's upsetting me more because it shows you how far overhanging on one side the logo is compared to the other one. Never mind.
What
okay.
up, Chris? No, nothing's happened. We also were meant to be doing the coverage for the Tabletop Simulator event today, but like I've done quite a few recently, so a bit tired this week. So we ended up just doing this, which has been good. Well, they weren't in the picture that was leaked. I think that's interesting. Chris also, with his Sylvaneth army, played against an ETC player with just Flamers in a TTS tournament. Tom, that's kind of comparative to playing.
I mean, if you're in a tournament, though, I feel like it's one of those you kind of expect that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what is the 40k equivalent of change host flamer spam. Change host flamer spam, doesn't it make you go? Does the change host flamer spam go first because it's a one drop?
Can go
Teleport
first.
everything in your face. And
No,
then
can
just shoot
only
everything off
can
straight
only
away.
teleport. Can only teleport one unit. Can go first. if it wants to, because it's a one drop. So that's the key element, gets the choice, and
Box,
then
lads, box.
There's
There
the
we go.
box
Oh.
art they revealed in the week already.
Well, that Space Marine is really big compared to those Necrons.
yeah, he's. I mean, that if that's
Yeah,
true,
I mean,
if that's true to
I'll-
scale, that's going to be so weird. Yeah.
They're using the Bandai action
Background.
figure.
Yeah, that's the
There's-
Bandai toy.
There's doorways with really creepy faces.
Mm. You know, for how in the Rise of Skywalker, the film art, they couldn't get the dude who played Emperor Palpatine to do the pictures, so they just took a picture of the toy and then put a bunch of things on it.
Really?
That's what we've just done with the Bandai thing. That's what's just happened.
Oh God.
Okay,
Right.
fine.
We all
Can
know
you
what's
hear
in the
that vibrating,
box.
by the way? If so, I'll throw my phone up the side.
No, I've just spilt this red paint again, so I'm trying to clean it up. So
I'm just enjoying it.
I can't.
Someone will walk in and Rob's there just with a scrubbing brush. We're going, you know what it looks like.
I'm trying to listen to. I'm trying to read the chat and do this. I can't do any of it. Like I just hold on.
Well,
So you guys,
do one thing at once. We know this.
spent like an hour and a half to prep for this. I've just made a giant mess.
What? Are you still painting your battle wagon?
Pardon me?
Are you still painting your battle wagon, Beth?
Well, yeah, but I've just spilled all the red everywhere. So
Yeah, did you spill it on your battle wagon? Because
Oh, no.
so that looks haphazard and great.
Now Rob's becoming offensive towards women's space marines. Am I? What did I do?
What?
I don't know how I did that.
All
I
right,
wouldn't.
yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So, do you know what they're talking about or not? Should we
I've
talk?
got it muted at the minute, so I can listen
Oh
to you
yeah.
guys.
Are they just
They're
vamping?
talking about.
Zoning out.
Are they
They're
vamping?
talking about that Stu Black's come on loads of times and previewed lots of rules, and
Right,
he's
cool.
been leading the design of
Oh.
the new edition. And they're just basically, so all the adverts that they've done over the past couple of weeks, they're recapping them, I believe.
So in the last kind of batch of big kind of reveals and stuff, they tended to have Robin Cridis a lot. Is he not part of that team anymore?
Maybe
he's on
because
40K,
maybe
isn't he?
because he
Oh, yeah.
let slip that 9th edition was coming out about a year
Yeah.
ago. He's been taking off all live TV duties. 'Cause he
Well,
can't
so
be
Robin
trusted.
Yeah,
Robin
like-
Credence is the head of. No, he's the lead developer of rules for 40k. So he's the head designer. Adam and Eddie are both just in the community team, although Eddie is incredibly senior inside the company. Like one of the highest placed people actually in the company, and Adam is not that far below him, but he's a manager of. I think he's actually one of the kind of managers of the TV department, but not quite. He's in that nebulous middle manager role that no one really gives a shit about, if that makes sense. And I'm sure some of us do that job, and I apologise about that if that's what you do for work. You know, but you guys know that you take longer lunches than you meant to, and your company could afford never to have you back.
And basically all you do is delegate.
Yeah.
That sounds like a job I'd be
Sorry,
good
Hey,
at.
Jim, do this thing. Yeah, sure. Delegate it to Karen. No problem.
Don't give it to Karen. Do not give it to Karen.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to I think sand my desk after this show because I've just wrecked
Yeah.
it.
Mate, it's fairy liquid. Spam it all over your desk, and then get a scouring pad, and you'll be fine.
Oh, what a disaster. Okay, good. So,
Or just
come
paint
on.
just red.
Why do they vamp so much? I can never be bothered with the vamping. It's a lot of vamping, says the group that vamped for 2 hours before we got to.
Yeah, but people are aware that all we do is vamp. We don't actually, provide anything else.
Yeah, we are the vamp
Also,
channel.
we're allowed to vamp our genuine opinions.
Oh, that's true. That's true. This is just a vamp of a commercial, right?
Let's hype up the commercial. I'm really excited for this advert. Fuck, let's get it started, boys.
Come on. Right, so I actually want to see some rules. And I think the most important thing I want to see today is the date.
Is it weird that I don't actually care about the date or the rules, and I actually want to see some sick models?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I've had enough of seeing their rules because they just
I want-
make me upset every time I see them.
I want
So-
the final date so that I can start planning because as a job, it's something I need to know, which is frustrating me at the moment because I'm in limbo.
How do you mean?
Because at the moment, no one's really wanting to buy much Games Workshop stuff. So when we go begin, if I'm starting back on Monday, being able to say to people straight away, we're doing our pre-orders on this date, people will frigging come for it, right?
Scribber, you still got any more of those Circle of the Wolves boxes that you sold them all?
I haven't sold them. I haven't had them yet.
I don't know. I don't know what Elm. EIM says, "Forgive me, Rob, for what I'm about to do." I don't know what he's about to do. I'm so.
Oh no, he's going to put an ASCII Patrick with the penis art in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for it. Here it comes.
Race.
Racer Impact. Which chat's it going in?
Oh, is he subbed? Please tell me it wasn't a sub.
Would they name the stream Pointless Unboxing if they were to announce the release date? That's true. It's true. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm excited to see. Come on.
Oh.
Was there a video?
Oh, it still overhangs.
Yeah, but don't worry about that. Look at the models. Look at the pretty models.
Best
Okay.
The
box
best
set
box
ever.
set.
Those are
I
nice.
told you.
Boss Beck,
Those are
best
okay.
one ever.
That's nice.
Cool, weird.
Oh, that was a Chaplin. I like Chaplins.
That's
I always
okay.
love the
That character
music.
looks badass.
That's cool. I like that.
New rules.
I really like that. I really like that.
Man, I'm so into this
like
fucking
New
New
tune.
scarabs look awesome, mate.
Oh, these Bone Reapers are great.
Oh, this is cool.
Is anyone missing the club?
That looks
And
sick.
there's new Hellblaster
Jump
dudes
up
with
now.
like melter guns.
Oh yeah, there is. Good shot, Nick.
The
they're
heavy,
in that-
the
they're
heavy
in the
metal
Elite
guys
image.
did a fantastic job on these.
It's a shame they're blue.
Yeah, but they
Put it
look
out
cool.
there.
Always,
Oh, it's
always
called
a shame it's blue.
Economist.
That looks cool. Okay, there's the release. There we go.
And I'm
So
done.
that's the box. I love these. I love these starts with wow. He's like, I've seen this for at least a year, prepping all of the social media stuff. Wow.
The best!
He's just
I'm so
dropped the humble
excited.
brag in there. That's really cool. I really like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
feel
awesome.
like there was a new because we've seen the new Necron Warriors before, but there was like a bigger sort of Necron Warrior style. I don't know. I doubt that's a sergeant for the Necron Warrior units. Maybe it's a new Immortal, but it'd be weird
think it might
to
be
redo the Immortals because they're already quite a nice kit.
I want to see those
look.
flamers. I want to see those flamers. Oh, Eddie's got a box. He did it. I told you. Called it. Bingo.
He's gonna hold
Rob-
up bits of
Rob's-
screw, is he?
Yeah, he held up the box. Rob scores a point. Which is,
These Americans and their pre-releases.
And it's
Getting it early.
It's shrink wrapped, so that's not even a mock-up box. Because why would you shrink wrap a
He's all.
box?
well, I mean, he could have shrunk wrap it. To be honest,
You,
if you think
can you
about it.
do you think Eddie's just gone and said, "Hey guys, in order to advertise your product, I'm going to need one of those new starter sets."
Nah, when you're in the community, when you're in the
Could you maybe
community
send
team,
one to my house, please?
when you're in the community team, you basically can just have what you like, as long as it's just. If you just be like, I need one for X.
Interesting. One
Yeah,
second,
yeah.
let me just go. Games
he's
Workshop
opening it.
Community.
Oh, this is as bad as I thought.
Oh wait, we're actually watching them unbox it. I was right. I called it.
Oh,
But they
It's
need
literal
a better
unboxing.
camera angle for this.
I just want to
pointing
see
at
him
their
peel
face.
the
Oh, wow.
cellophane off. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
there it is.
This is terrible TV. I would like. How many people are watching these guys do this? This
Mate,
is-
what do you mean?
30,000
Pull the cellophane off.
1,000 people.
Brilliant.
What is in the box? It's
You can't even
tilt
see the
camera.
box is open. Yeah, they can't like. We're watching a person.
Please show us
open
the
box.
sprue. Please show me the sprue. That's what I want. I want you to somehow think I'll be impressed by seeing a sprue.
There you go.
Do
I
it.
did just check there's an animation IP reviewer role going on if I want lots of free stuff for being in the community team.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I meant
okay.
I meant if you're one of the higher ups is what. I meant.
Because I want to review their animations for money.
Part of your job, right?
Okay, so that's smart. Wait, Adam's got one as well. There you go.
Yeah.
31 people watching two guys just
Oh,
open a box is
This
brilliant.
is like what they showed us on Wednesday on the non-stream.
Hold on. This is awesome. Look at that picture.
That art's good. I like that.
Yeah, the art in
Yeah.
the
Beautiful.
art is just amazing.
Oh, look, he's showing us the sprues.
It's always been good.
great.
I'm not there yet. Oh, no, he's showing us the sprues. This is terrible. Don't do this. Don't do this. They're looking in the box. Oh my god, this is a shit
Oh no,
show.
how many is he going to drop in?
This has to be one of the worst ways, I agree, Neil Kerr, to market their
that's
flagship
good.
product.
Those pictures
They,
are
they are
okay.
clamp back ones. They're like push fit models.
It looks like that was done with a flash off the back of an iPhone, but apart from
Oh,
that,
are they
yeah.
push fit?
Oh,
They are push
yeah.
fit. That's
push fit
exciting.
ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
The arms have got shoulder pads molded into them, which is a deal breaker for me.
that's not a deal breaker
Oh,
for
yeah,
me.
that looks good to me.
Oh,
I mean,
like
it's meant
push
to be
fit.
accessible, right?
I like push fit.
I like push fit, but I want to be able to change the shoulder pads. That's all.
Well, just get yourself the regular ones. Like, I like push fit because they serve a purpose. I want them to be push fit. They are. And then if people really want, they have multi-part kits. Like that's the best of both worlds, right?
Apparently,
They'll
it's
be a separate kit, won't they?
apparently that Primaris lieutenant we thought was a lieutenant is actually a captain.
There's a
Oh,
captain,
really?
a unit 3, and a lieutenant.
Oh my god, I literally want none of those things.
I mean, they look cool, so I kind of want them.
I want him.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the lieutenant with the Volkite gun.
I think this is the best way to show the
I
appeal.
love that there's a Volkite gun now. Volkite guns look badass.
I don't like that because
Oh, really?
no, because Volkite is belongs in the heresy. State, keep it
Why?
there.
Why though? Why?
Huh?
Oh, well,
Why
Nicholas
is
is
it
going
like the
for
house?
Nicholas' turn. Off you go.
Go on, Nick. Why do you think not?
Because they've been moving the timeline forward. You know, they've been allowing Belisarius Core to start experimenting with new stuff. They're not stuck in their ways of these are the things that we have and we must not experiment. Why not look to the past for cool, badass weapons that they can use now?
Yeah, I guess so. But then that kind of means
Volkite
that
weapons
probably
look cool. That's my main.
And
they probably shouldn't. They probably shouldn't put like candles on top of stuff anymore. Like if they recognise that they no longer need to maintain vehicles or like pray to it, which is the whole point of the Omnissiah, and they can now just actually produce things. That's a gross and significant shift in the like landscape of their thought processes as like and also like the kind of stagnant. Listen, they're moving on with the timeline. I've got nothing to say. It's fine. I thought the stagnation of technology in 40k was kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
I thought. I can be wrong.
Everything's not quite right. Like the whole thing was the Emperor's not a god, all these sorts of things, and then that's exactly what happens. So
Yeah.
the Imperium won the heresy, but did they?
Also, big shout out to Big Goldfish. Thank you for subscribing. Core bringing back ancient tech. Men of Iron Codex confirmed. Ooh baby. Ooh baby. Well, whatever. We'll see. I guess to be fair, Core was from the heresy, so there's the link.
Primaris Marines back then, type of thing, wasn't it? Like 10,000.
Well, he started 10,000 years ago.
Very slow then.
What?
Very
It takes
slow.
a while. It takes a while. Have you ever tried to
I
get?
tell you what, though.
Have you ever tried to get buff?
These sprues are stuffed.
Oh, look at that Lord Relictor or whatever
Yeah,
it's
they're
called.
rammed,
The
aren't they?
Stormcast guy.
Yeah, but
Banner.
there's a lot of dudes. I like the shields. The shields are fun.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, they're funky.
I think this would be great for access to lots of storm shields as well, this box.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Can we talk about how awesome it is that there's now Primaris with not just plasma guns? They've got multi-gun variants as well.
I think that's awesome. But then how much do we really see Hellblasters?
No, not really. But it's just nice to have. It didn't make much sense to me that there was like, oh, there's new Primaris stuff, and they've only got plasma guns.
Yes.
Felt like we're missing a trick, right?
Yeah, I want to see ones with like heavy flamers,
Straight up,
heavy
can you move
bolters,
your
las
microphone
cannons,
again?
missile launchers, and stuff.
I'm glad that they revealed preview was quick and crap because it's late here and I just want to go to bed. Well, I think this can't be all that they do, right? Just this.
No, not just sprues. Surely they're going to show.
They got to show
some
rules.
more- yeah, some rules and more the models.
And I want to see that. I want to see pictures of the models individually, which they're
Yes.
bound to show in a minute.
I would like. I mean, I doubt they're going to be able to talk about this for an entire hour, are they?
I don't know.
Well, based on what they
we need to
did
find
for-
out what hobby they're doing as well.
It looks good, though.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's hard to talk about. Oh, here's a box with some sprues for an hour.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think
you're going to have to add some other stuff in.
as someone who a specific job it was to vamp about stuff for hours for Games Workshop. Let me tell you, they'll send you in dry.
All right. So
Let me tell you
let's
this.
work on that
Let me
then.
tell you this.
Yeah.
I got given the 8th edition Space Marine Codex, arguably the most important release possible, right? Yeah. The morning of the day I was meant to announce it on TV. The morning of.
And what time are you going live?
Went live at. I don't remember. 12, 11,
like
something like
2
that.
o'clock type of thing. They were
Yeah,
kind of
maybe.
mid-afternoon a lot of the time.
But morning of is when I got the actual thing. So, the chunky Necron looks rad. He does. The chunky Necron does. I think all the Necrons look
Yeah.
badass. Yeah.
Yeah, all the Necrons look amazing.
So I've got a quick
Totally
question.
unbiased, but I think they're definitely the best.
They do look very good. I do have a question for Rob though. If you're in
Yeah.
this situation and you're only given this box to talk about, and you say, right, talk about this for an hour, how do you go about that?
Well, if you're just talking about just the box, I don't know. Like, I would push back and say, let me have more competent conversations about stuff. It would be my. I mean, I wouldn't just take carte blanche, stupid like decisions and just be like, righto, boss.
Okay.
Oh no, I get that. But if you had to just talk about this for an hour, what routes would you go down?
I don't know. I'd probably talk about the fact it was a
Ramble a
bit
bit.
easy together. Then I would definitely read up on the lore, and I would introduce all the characters. Right, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see the lore at least, and we're gonna find out the names of the units. There's no way this is just toss, just looking at sprues. But there are people who like this because there are people who are like, I can't wait to click a little bit out and then put that on my other unit or something. So there are, but it's the niche end of the hobby that are people who want to see the sprues. Tell me, is anyone in the chat who's excited about seeing the sprues more than maybe the narrative and rules? What about you three?
Me, I want to see the sprues.
Do you want to see the models though, or the sprues?
I want to see the models, but these are just the models,
I like to see the sprues to give context of what my expectation is going to be. So, like, for me, I like using the custom shoulder pads because I like that element to it. So not having that means I can plan, like, whether I put something on the shoulder pads that are pre-existing or cut them off. And whether they've got molded bases and stuff. I think right?
I think you're in. I feel like you're in a niche group, but I'm not sure that.
Yeah, very niche. I think it's not the normal people, but they tend to just pander to certain groups, right?
Pardon me. Oh yeah, like the competitive gamers. Right. So they've linked the box. They put pictures up on the website. Okay. So the Primaris captain. Is a guy with a big shield.
I'd just like to point out, Rob, very quickly, but as soon as they put pictures up on website, the stream increased by 6,000 people.
Yeah.
Got it open twice.
How curious.
How curious. Primaris captain.
Book.
The artwork for the book looks great.
That looks really nice, but it just doesn't look like a rulebook, you know what I mean?
It looks like an RPG book to me.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I think that looks great.
I'm fine with that. That's
it looks fine. It just looks different.
Well, because if I want to, oh my god, watching them flick through books is genuinely comedy gold.
Is there a 60 by 44 inch map? Oh, it's the transfers.
Can I just say, if you got to carry a book around like that to events and on the bus,
what if you got to carry 7 books like that around?
No, but it's a cool-looking book, is what I'm saying. You want a cool-looking book. Someone's like, "Oh, what's that book you got?" The book looks great.
Sitting reading it in a coffee shop, you're not.
Oh, for showing us the transfers now. Some Space Wolves things on it.
Everything. So that's basic Dark Imperium. They did that.
Yeah.
It's got Ravenwing ones. There we go. I'm happy. There we go.
So anyway, on the website, Primaris Captain looks boss. We got the picture for that.
Whoever did the photography on these did a banging job, by the way. But
the photo guys are great. The Judicar, I'm fucking all about that Judicar. He looks a boss. So the Blade Guard veterans, we've seen about those. The Blade Guard Ancient. Nick, your Flamer guys are called Eradicators.
Eradicators, eh?
Eradicators.
And interestingly, they're in the unit of 3, so I imagine they're going to be more like the Gravis armor. What are they called? The big dudes with the flamers.
Yeah, like they're Gravis because they've got
are they Gravis armor?
Yeah, Gravis armor.
You're getting so much in this box set, like compared to the previous ones. Like what was in Dark Imperium? It was like 1 unit of Poxwalkers, some Death Guard, and a character, right?
And a drone.
Yeah. So just for the Necron side here, you've got a War of the Worlds thing, a character here and his 2 bodyguard, another character here, some elite troops, 20 Necron warriors, and 6 Scarab bases. On the Marine side, you've got 10 intercessors, 3 eradicators, 4 characters, 5 characters, 3 bodyguard dudes, and 3 bikes. This box set is stuffed.
Yeah, it's a big box set. It's really excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read through some of the stuff quick. We've got the assault. It's 120 quid, isn't it?
That's good value, dude.
We'll see what they
good value.
We'll see what they actually say. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon. Anyway, so they got the assault intercessor squad in there as well. 10 dudes. That's pretty cool, like you said.
What's Pete Foley got on this thing?
3 outriders. You get in the box as well. But Nick, we know all the names for your guys now. Overlord.
Yeah.
The Royal Warden, It's an overlord that needs a job done right. It's time to call a royal warden to keep things on track. He's an aide de camp. A warden is tough as nails and armed with a relic Gauss blaster.
Oh, wow.
By the way, you know how the stream is normally just embedded on Warhammer community homepage? Well, it's also embedded in this article as well. So that is going to have a massive impact on the numbers here. There's a reason why it's getting 40,000 people.
So then they've got a plasma lancer. This other guy?
That is one of my favorite models they've come out with. He looks amazing. I love the long chin, kind of like it's Egyptian style, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that model is amazing.
Plasma Lancers are a mysterious class of cryptech, also known as the Harbingers of Destruction. This ominous title is well earned as it happens. A Plasmancer, is a master in the art of weaponizing the hypertechnology and the Necrons, whatever that means.
I reckon it's going to be more like a Necron version of a Psyker.
Okay.
So, cryptechs are more like a buff piece, like to protect your warriors, make them reanimate more, fix up machines. But I reckon the Plasmamancer is going to be more like a damage output character.
So the Crypto Thralls are awful looking. What do you think of them?
Yeah, they don't look as good as everyone else. It's kind of like a trash can with legs and arms sticking out. Not great.
Okay. Not into that. So then the Scorpek Lord. The final boss of the awesome Warhammer 40,000 cinematic trailer, Scorpek Lord, is death incarnate for anyone who dares to face it in battle. Looks like a Primaris Sergeant and Battle Sister are in for the fight of their lives. The enormous hate-fueled destroyer, so he's a destroyer, can unleash the searing fury of its annihilator at range, reap anyone in its path, and its devastating hyperface harvester. So that's pretty wild. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he's cool as shit. Yeah,
I love
the 3-leg tripod walker thing. I'm not a huge fan of the creepy claw, but the other weapons are really cool, like the big sword scythe thing.
I really like the tripod because I can relate to it.
You're a terrible person. Then
what I'm going to do with that?
Oh, that Overlord looks so good, dude.
I'm going to turn it into a crab thing, similar to my other one that I turned into like a scorpion, and it's got the perfect top for it. You know, the two little spikes that come up either side of his head, just like a crab stalk with his eyes on.
Yeah.
So I was going to bend its body down slightly and turn it into like a more of a crab style beast.
Yeah, he looks great. He looks great, and the painting that's done on the blades intimidates me, but makes them look so 3D. It looks really good.
Yeah,
we're also seeing. We've also said that it comes out in July, is what they've said at some point.
So that means the new edition is going to come out in July then.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if they reveal any rules. Otherwise, I'm off for a pint. Yeah, no problem. We will. Scorpek destroyers. If you like the idea of destroyers just got forward into combat to murder. Blah blah blah. So yeah, Scorpek destroyers. So some new destroyers that are melee ones. Nick, how do you feel? It looks like they've got a gun maybe in it as well.
Does that mean we're also doing new sculpts for the shooting destroyers?
I think so, because I'm sure in the big leaked picture we've seen there was a new style, like floaty destroyer. And yeah, I think
they're going to look quite jarring side by side, right?
Yeah,
because they're different enough.
Yeah. And I did like the new one we've seen. Yeah, I'm excited about having more combat options for Necrons, because there weren't that many combat options. There was a couple of units.
Nihilak, right?
Yeah, and they're not very good.
No.
So because they just don't have any.
This is the new starter box, right?
It is.
Surely, yeah.
If it's got a full hardcover rulebook, it is Dark Imperium 2.0 basically.
Yeah, it's the starter box definitely. So then you've got the plasma sight. This thing is QAF, Nick. What is it? These seemingly innocuous machines drifted in the wake of the Scorpek destroyers. They're fairly harmless by itself. Plasma sight's ability to infuse destroyers with tainted edges make them already dangerous. Are we? It's basically everyone getting Nurglings. People getting Nurglings because I'm into it.
That's how you balance the game. You just make.
Well, how big is that thing?
What this little fella?
Yeah, is it a 25mm base or is that a 40mm base?
It says it follows the destroyers, so I reckon it comes in the destroyer kit.
Yeah, it might even be part of the unit as well.
Yeah, that looks maybe like a 32mm base at most, based on the size of the little scarab bit on it.
Yeah,
Scorpek Lord is next, and it looks like it's on a 40. That's the thing from the trailer.
Oh, so yeah, we're looking at the article, Tom. You're looking at the vid.
Okay, yeah.
And we're running through it.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I can't
The
really scroll, unfortunately, and my
score-
model's a bit big.
The score pack looks good. The Canoptic Reanimator looks awesome. That's a really tall boy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
so
tripod.
nice.
that
Yeah.
looks really cool.
It's got 4 legs though, so it's not a tripod. We now know the answer.
It's a quad pod.
How many?
Quad
look-
pod.
Quadruped.
I love
Yeah.
how creepy it
No,
looks.
it's quad pod now. That's what we're calling it.
It looks like it's got like a schnoz to it. Like it's got a big long nose. It looks like Cyril Sneer from the Raccoons.
What?
That
So-
weird nose piece to it.
In this long limb support platform, will keep your machine legions to fight even. I reckon this will have rules and work a lot like the Gothazar Harvester from Age of Sigmar, Nick.
I don't know how that works.
Well, basically, what it does is it sits behind a unit, and every time you take a unit off within a certain range, or a model off within a certain range, you roll a dice on a 4+. You can put that model back.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's basically like a
Yeah.
4+ DPR, really.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it kind of works the other way, which is quite fun. Apparently,
There's
this
some Rule
isn't.
34 coming to that Canoptic Plasma site, by the
Yeah,
way.
Nubkin says apparently this isn't a start box, so I don't understand how that isn't the case. We'll find out.
Well, it's got a.
Because
it's
it
got a
says in
rulebook
the
there, right?
box. Yeah, because on these pictures it says in the box, Indomitus, #near40k. So in the top right hand corner of that picture it says in the box. So
Maybe
if that's not the box,
maybe
that's
there's a quote.
confusing.
They just said it on stream. This isn't the starter box. This is just a box they're
Oh, that
releasing.
must be true. Yeah. It just happens to be a box
With the rule book, like a
in it.
hardcover rule book. It's just
I know, limited release. They said this isn't meant for starters and for more
You're kidding
experienced. This isn't for starters and more experienced players. They said it's a launch box and not a
Okay.
starter box, whatever that
That's-
really means.
that's just them renaming something that starter box is misleading. That it's not for starters. It's for people like us, right?
Yeah.
Is what we're imagining. This is the sort of box
Right.
that we'd buy and split between 2 mates.
Right. Okay.
Then who gets a rulebook?
That's the problem now. It's not the
It's,
same rule
it's
book.
not. It's not. Then is it? Like,
No.
no. If it's
Well,
something
no.
you design for people to split, then I don't get it.
Whatever.
It's just
Canoptic's-
marketing. Whatever.
Yeah, I think this might be one of the very few physical books I buy, especially if it also gives me the digital version of the rules available in the app. Then
I want to
I'd
hear
be
more
very...
about the app, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd like
Well,
to hear a lot more
I'm
about the
liking
app.
this, though. I'm liking this.
Uh,
I'm
Nick-
only going to buy this.
Nick, the Scarabs and the... Well, if you can.
Don't worry about it.
Scarabs and Necron Warriors, what you saying, Nick? You enjoying those?
Yeah, well, the Necron Warriors look way better than they were before. I like how they look more creepy than they were before. Like they're a bit slumped over and like staggering forward, like fixing themselves.
They're
They look
not
a bit more
waddling, though,
sinister.
right?
Yeah, they're not just like
kind of
squatting.
splayed. They've got 50-50 on the 2 types of guns as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know whether you could mix and max in a unit. It would generally you have to have one weapon for the entire unit.
Which
I
I
reckon
think
you
they're
just get
kinda
2 units
leaning
of
on,
10.
They tend
Yeah,
to lead
2 to
into
10.
that now in the design kind of aesthetic generally,
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, but yeah, the new Necron Warriors look way better than the old ones. Really nice. But the Scarabs, I like that they're floating. That's a pretty cool touch because
I like the
previous
legs.
Scarabs you had to pin each individual Scarab and glue it down.
Is it that much
Um,
of a faff?
Yeah, and then you've got loads of different sizes of them as well, which makes it like I don't know, nice bit
It
of
adds some
variation.
dynamics. Yeah, it's not quite so static, right?
Yeah, super pleased with those. They look great. Too bad I've already got loads of Scarabs, so.
I'll have
So
those, sir.
so the Edge of Silence is like a little like pamphlet which has got all the data sheets for the new units in, which comes obviously in the box as well.
Yeah.
In it, the harrowing nature of the prior Nexus is revealed, and the narrative stage is set for what will become a crucial new war zone. And then there's the guides and the transfers. So yeah, it doesn't say. You simply don't want to miss out on this amazing set, so it's important to mention that it's a special launch box to celebrate the new edition. It won't be around forever. We've made literal boatloads, but if you want to make sure you're among the first to hear when it becomes available to order, blah, 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 blah. So there's 61 push-fit miniatures inside it. So there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
getting bought 100%. That one is getting bought 100%.
And 50% off if you're buying it separately, which is above what they normally save you if you buy one of their normal battle boxes. They're normally
they're-
sort of 30, they're normally 33 to 40% off normally.
Do we know if the rulebook will sell separately? Yeah, it'll always be sold as a digital
hands
version
down.
as well.
But here's the thing, though. If I can get it in this box, so let's say it's a £40 book, right? Well, I can take that off the value of the box because I'd already buying the book anyway. So that's £80 for all these models.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great value.
Brilliant
It's-
value. Yeah. In fact, no, chat, it's rubbish value, so you don't buy it and leave them all for me.
Well, hopefully they will have made enough to have spiked the sales.
I don't think they'll be panicking on running out initially. They will be clever, and have stocked up. Because why wouldn't they?
You are giving them a lot of credit
obvious
then.
Bait is obvious.
Yeah, that is obvious bait. I'm not taking that.
My gut feeling is they're going to do what they do with things like Dark Imperium. Although they're not calling it a starter set, they're going to have pallets and pallets of this.
Well, so let's say
it's not limited run though.
Let's say there's 40. That's a lot of sets, John. I'm not certain, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't sell out on the first minute.
I feel like it'll be in production for a while, but it's not going to be like we're going to produce 5,000 of these and it's first come first serve. It's just
maybe a better way of looking at it. Yeah, maybe a better way of looking at it that is it's a launch. That it's a limited set, but it's not limited initially. Like they'll stop making it at some point.
Molds for this set go dodgy, then they just won't make another mold.
Yeah. Scott B, the factory's been shut for months now. The factory's actually been open 4 months. It only actually shut for 3 weeks. So the factory's been kicking it out for quite a long while, and I think that they would have been
pace, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why we've seen.
That was about it, right?
Yeah, and we would have seen the Age of Sigmar stuff knock back a few months, maybe, just so that they can have everyone just working full blast on getting this out. But don't forget, they already had it planned. So while a 3-week break is a big deal, it's not massive, right? And they keep running for a few weeks. Maybe it was supposedly a limited availability, but they sold out so quickly that they ended up making it a standard product. Talking about the Sister Viridian scenario, which was, but I think that's again when you do end up with saying something's limited edition, you do get a lot of scalpers just buying a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
because I was going to say because from the look of it, I think from the picture, because I already have a Necron army. I don't want 20 new warriors. I don't want the scarabs. I only really want maybe the characters, the new destroyers, and the big, tall, floaty, tall, creepy robot. So I might not necessarily want to buy that box, actually, because I'd have to sell the warriors myself or whatever. So it might be more cheap for me to buy it broken up on eBay, but probably not.
No.
Yes.
Probably smarter to buy the box
if you can
and
find
then scalp it
someone
myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to find someone who wants.
Oh, they've shown us something.
As well.
There's something new they're showing
video.
us. What's this? So talking about the box now.
It's a Dawn of War cinematic.
Oh no, the hour has never been darker. Oh, a little bit of video.
What remains of the Emperor's light? Yet hope
that's a big
remains.
sword. That looks like a Dark Angel sword.
Oh, our Primarch has returned to us.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Scrivo.
Shit, John!
Scrivo! Hey, I'm getting
Please
excited.
don't toy with me, game.
They toyed with you.
Fuck off, dickheads. I'm out. Fuck them. You genuinely got me for a second, mate, guys. I was just like, if only they'd ever release a good Primarch.
Fucking Ultramarines.
There you go.
Oh my god.
It's just another advert.
I don't need these levels of emotions. I'm a mess now.
Debated in the chat. There you go.
Oh well. Okay, so they've talked about everything that's in the box. They've talked to Pete. They got to talk rules now. They've got to talk rules. I suppose, and the app or something useful.
Here's Goodwin.
I love that guy.
Who?
I can listen to him talk for hours.
Oh, Jez Goodwin.
Jez.
Legend.
He sounds like he has a 20-pack a day, at least.
Oh, is he talking about sculpting the models?
Look, he's got a ninja sword in the background.
I've got a ninja sword in the background.
Samurai.
Listen to that echo. Look at those great Games Workshop storage boxes he's using for paint.
His audio's terrible. His audio's so terrible. It's like microphones can't pick up his voice. Microphones are like... Oh, you would think you would send him a microphone. Like...
Rob, don't. what's that phrase you say about people being stupid and
have you
not
listened to
thinking
it?
things? Oh,
Oh my god.
I love Jez's voice. It's just so great, but it sounds nothing like him right now.
That's the thing. It's very distinctive. He'd make a great podcaster.
Everyone is saying he sounds like a Necron Lord right now, which I think is very apt. Again, wouldn't be too hard to have sent your quite famous model designer a good microphone ahead of time. I'm going to give this a 0 out of 10. In
Maybe
this
a
situation.
light, because it looks like they've not even given him like any
Scrivo,
kind of guidance on lighting.
complain about the lights because me, but
Yours looks fine, Tom.
The
You look
difference
fine.
is we're a little group of people doing it off their own backs type of thing. They're a multi-million profit.
I don't know.
company.
I just need a better webcam, and I need some lighting pads here and here, and then we'll be fine.
Aren't you meant to be coming to get this webcam off me?
I was about to say I can send you. I've got a spare webcam.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll
sort you out, Tom.
You were here last week. You could have just had a webcam.
That's fine.
Genius.
Yeah. Oh well. I'll drive back down again. It's fine, and listen to Flight of the Eisenstein on the way. It's going to be good.
Just bringing that Aussie quality, even a $20 cam. Like it wouldn't cost. It costs like £2. No, not £2, but it's not tons.
It's gone up a bit since everyone's using Zoom now.
Yes. I mean, well, again, they've got a lot of money, so they could actually buy them something really top end. But
I'm just going to show you my hobby progress. 1 second.
Go on then, Tom. How is everyone doing, by the way?
I'm going to get rid of this background thing so you can see what I've been doing. Otherwise, it's going to cause issues.
Show us your stomper.
So we've done
look
gone
at them
around all the
jugs.
panels, and we've done lots of different tones of red. So it looks cool. I'm going to chaff all these up so it looks like they're all metallic and what have you. Later on, rather than just being plates. And then I'm just working my way around doing the same thing for the yellow on the front pad. Because
nice.
it's a restoration, it was glued on and I couldn't get it off. So rather than taking it off, airbrushing it and then gluing it back on again, I'm just painting it up normally. So I'm doing lots of layers of yellow to make it pop. And then get around the metals with the sponge idea Nikos gave me. So
Well done, Tom. Proud of you.
thank you. I am making models. Yeah.
So Chammy says, and I couldn't agree with that. Chammy, I'm not sure if you're new here, but welcome. Says, here's the thing. Surely they've been working from home like everyone else, doing Zoom meetings or whatever. So they've seen his setup before they got him to do this and thought, yeah, that's fine. This will work.
That'll do.
That'll do. This is what we'll do for 40,000 people.
It's cool.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get into it. You know what I'm about to say. So it's fine.
It's fine. We already know.
Small indie company, Tom.
No, it's
can
not
I-
about the small indie company. It's about the embedded streams. But
Yeah. Big shout out to Bradley Baker in the chat. Just want to say big love to you. Apparently, you need to sponge brown before you sponge silver, Tom.
yep, I'm just thanking the chat. I'll have a Google for some YouTube videos, or I'll have a search on YouTube.
Because that shows the kind of the oxidization around the scratches, so it works really well.
I'm still trying to paint with as much red stuff as I can to use all this paint up that I destroyed
Oh, it's on the
all
desk.
over my desk. Yeah.
Put it on the desk.
Oh, the Blade Guard veterans. Oh,
These guys are
baby.
all there.
I can't really. I would say it looks cool, but I can't see because the stream quality is so low. I think that's just me though, so I'm just gonna give it a refresh. One sec.
What, the Blade Guard veterans?
These just feel like a natural fit in my.
And now we've got an advert. Thank you, Twitch.
Sorry,
The advert
sorry,
is
John.
definitely 1080p though.
Sorry, John. What were you saying?
These are very much. These just will slide into things like Dark Angels and Black Templars with the robes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Robed Marines are the best Marines.
They're the
As
ones I
opposed to
love.
derobed Marines. So,
That's
yeah.
why I went for Dark Angels, because I liked the aesthetic of being able to have something added to them to make something quite characterful.
Yeah.
Well, they just remind me of evocators from Age of Sigmar. They're just evocators, is what they are.
But there
Okay.
isn't any female
Yeah.
ones.
You
No,
don't know that they're all wearing helmets.
no, sorry, evocators in Age of Sigmar. There are some lady versions. There are lady ones. But in 40k, obviously,
That's what I'm saying.
you can't have a lady otherwise. Like a bunch of neckbeards or like have like a pure fit. Yeah.
I feel like that's a way to win games, though. Like,
Well,
someone's
just
beating
really
you, you take
tilt
it out,
them.
I am no man.
Yeah.
The Marines still lady heads.
If you think the sort of people that complain about female space marines are the sort of people who go to tournaments, because you're wrong. Like tournament players are not
We
to be
just don't really
conflated
care
with.
about the law, to be honest.
No, that's not true. I just think those. Yeah. Anyway, those Primaris Assault dudes are becoming Death Company faux sure. The bikers are growing on me, which is
I
not
love
what I
them.
expected to say.
Yeah, they're good,
I
aren't
love
they? They're so much better than the older bikers, aren't they, as well? The older ones.
The old biker sculpt
what-
is 20 years old, though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the
Big.
chassis of the bike looks really low. What if it goes over like a bump? Like it's just gonna get snagged, isn't it?
It's like Tetsuo from Akira's bike. I think that front panel that the wheels kind of into, it can pivot. So it'll
Pivot,
bounce up
okay.
and down. It'll be like
Oh,
a
right.
hydraulic thing. It technically shouldn't work, that sort of wheel, apparently.
Oh, really?
It's fine. It's the 41st millennium. No one cares.
People
It's
kicked off
fine.
about Akira with that, and it was just like, it's science fiction, guys.
Yeah, or they could just be doing wheelies.
All the time.
Yeah, they could be doing wheelies.
With their
True,
like
good point.
8-ton bodies or whatever it is, you know.
They look great though.
I
Yeah,
don't know
I-
how big they are.
That's 8 minis, or old minis.
Yeah.
Jeez.
yeah, I
Small
think.
boys.
Anyway, I think they look great. The bikes, which is growing on me. But I think it's because I've seen a whole bunch of people posting that they look like Akira, and I've been like, oh, actually, I like Akira and I like that aesthetic. So that's why it's growing on me. They also remind me. They remind me that they also remind me of. Pa. What up, Pa? They also remind me of Judge Dredd.
Yes.
There you go.
And now I want to paint a bunch
Master.
of them. Yeah, I want to paint a bunch up like Judge Dredd. Do a Judge Dredd Marine army. Someone must have done that. That would be
Yeah.
cool.
Just switch out some of the bits from the
Necromunda.
Adeptus Abites Necromunda guys. Job
Would
done.
that look weird with their tiny
Did
head
you say?
poking out?
Did you
from
say
the marine body there?
Arbites?
Yeah, because that's how you pronounce it, Rob. I found this out by watching a Warhammer stream.
But
You say
It's like
Arbites.
Custodes.
Right.
Arbites.
Custodes.
Arbites as well.
No.
Arbites. Isn't it?
Custodes.
I used to say Arbites as well. It's like Custodes and Custodes.
What?
What
Which
is
one's
it?
right?
Arbites.
Oh, the streams are
Arbites.
never wrong, Scriver.
No one's saying Arbites. No one is saying that. Oh, look at what.
Watch the official Warhammer stream, Rob.
Oh, they're never wrong.
They never say
And they had an
Arbites.
entire thing about it. Whether I like it or not, that's what they said. I don't agree,
I'm not,
but that's
I'm
what they
not
said.
saying it. I'm not saying
There's a
it.
whole
Every line.
discussion piece
Fake
about how
news.
you pronounce
Rage
the
Against the
words.
Machine,
Came up.
pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, that's what I could do.
Yeah.
The Primaris captain looks pretty dope as well, but only if you're a great painter, which I am not, so not
I'll paint it.
interested.
That's nice. That'd be good. I reckon I could do it.
Scrivo is right, apparently. I know he's
No,
right.
Scriver was wrong.
Like I believe.
Fuck off, Wallace.
Oh, I like the captain's. I like the captain's helmet where he's got the visor flipping up.
It's a GIF. It
That's
is a GIF,
cool.
though, so I'm not taking this sort of abuse in the chat. I'm not an idiot. I pretend to be one, but I'm not.
No, I believe you. I just don't want. I just don't want to believe you.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
horrible, right? But
I can't paint anymore. Red lads, and I've got a lot of red to paint with. I'm just.
I'll tell you what, Rob. If you ship it to me, I'll commission paint it for you, dude.
No, I just.
pro painted.
But I'm actually a competent painter, so fuck you all.
Yes,
I
Oh.
just choose not
the
to be.
ultramarines I've seen of yours were very pretty, and I was quite surprised based on my first introduction of you in person was that, and I was like, wow, Tom can paint.
Why
Yeah,
does he
no.
have?
I
Why
just,
does
I
he
just
have?
pretend I can't.
Why does he have
because it's
seals
effort
wrapped
to paint.
around? So the Primaris lieutenant, I'm bored of like that.
Or that is a lieutenant. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
It's a lieutenant.
But he's
Oh,
got
fantastic.
he's got a Volkite and he's got
Chaplain?
he's got a Volkite and he's got the good shield. I really like the chaplain. The chaplain looks.
I like that it's
good.
just
I
a
love the
chaplain
Yeah.
without going crazy. Like the first Primaris one was quite different.
Yeah, he had like weird. I liked his cane.
Yeah,
I've got him over here,
diff-
actually. Shall I get him? So you
It was
get a
just
comparison?
too much of a change for me that I just like.
What? Hold on.
But the hood,
does look a
the
bit
hood
like
and the skull face
Casper's.
is scary though.
So here's the comparison. Here's the old one.
the old one. What?
The old oh, you can't see it because the background's down. Yeah.
With his little staff, his cane,
His pimp cane. Yeah. 1 second. Let me just get this back.
And the
This-
Judicar.
This is the old one
Judicar looks
new
amazing.
character.
Yeah.
with his
think we
weird
came from
halo
last.
on the top. There we go.
Yeah.
And then you've got those ones. Those ones are cooler. Which
I like
background
the
should we go for?
Judicar. I like the Judicar a
Christopher Bruce.
lot. I wonder what the Judicar's role is in the army. Do we
Beheading
know?
people.
He's an executioner because that's what the blade is.
But what does that mean in a
He boosts
murderous?
morale, so it stops people running away or
Yeah.
something.
I feel like that you're losing off. You're not losing very much. Like by cutting the end off the blade, the stabby bit, you're not really gaining anything, apart from maybe a little bit of weight, I guess.
It's
I feel like you're cutting off your nose to spite your
it's-
face.
It's about trauma rather than slashing.
Are you talking about his blade? It doesn't
I
matter.
feel
His
like kind of
blade,
point
his
you get in
blade
the end
looks.
just in case you need to stab someone.
No, his blade looks great.
Oh, it does, but it just doesn't make sense.
He's a commissar for Space Marines. Is that what we're thinking, or have we heard nothing? Actually, we know
Why would
actually
you
no
need a
information.
commissar?
Yeah, I think he's a commissar for Space Marines.
Well,
really?
Because custodies were doing that in the narrative. They were having to kill Space Marines when they weren't listening. So perhaps they're having to enforce them that way.
He's
Oh,
not
well,
a Space Marine, then he's a custodian or a custode.
Yeah, I'd quite like the idea if he's Makina in the chat says he's probably a close combat character, multi-wound, damage, hero, or monster hunter. But it feels like if he's the role of executioner, he's much better at taking out like things that have heads, not vehicles, right?
Yeah.
But maybe he has an instant death rule or something like that.
How long
Yeah,
after
killing
the box is out,
blow.
Yeah, killing blow.
How long after the box is out do you think characters like that are going to be turned into Stormcast kit bashes?
Oh, straight away.
It's just like you look at them and go. There was probably at some point in the design process they went, which way are we going to go with it?
Or you could just go the other way and just do Stormcast into those. Like, there's
True.
not a ton of difference. But I like all the Marine stuff. I think it's good. I'm probably bored of just seeing lieutenants again and again. I could probably do with never seeing one of those. Apparently,
Yeah, and even if they
hold
try to
on.
make a bit of a joke about it.
yeah,
Still.
apparently he's got war gear, the Judicar, that manipulates time according to the website article. Manipulates
It does
time.
have a sand timer, so that makes some sense, right?
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
The hell?
But how would that work in the game? Maybe reverse a decision that you've made. Instead of a
If
reroll,
it's a
just be
reroll.
like,
Yeah, it's a reroll.
so he's a
I
reroll.
love-
Yeah.
No, you can reroll a reroll with it. Yes. I'm in.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. I think looks. Will that be always striking
Referring
first
to
in
the mods is
combat?
referring to my quiche.
Yeah, no, sorry. They were saying, will that always be a first strike in combat? Could be the turning back time. That's a fun
That
rule.
could be a thing.
That could definitely be a thing. Yeah, I can see that. He Temper Mortis. You don't need to be an expert in High Gothic to know that this means it's something he can manipulate time and ensure the death of his quarry. Okay, all right, that's exciting. I'm pretty excited about that. That sounds cool.
So what's going to be the difference between a melter gun and a melter rifle?
One has a longer range.
Shoots further.
An extra AP? Is that even
No.
Because they've already got
Won't be
most
an
AP, right?
But it
No,
won't
it's
be
just-
an extra AP.
It's just going to shoot super far. It's just going to shoot super far.
Like 44
It's
inches.
going to be like what a bolt rifle was to a bolt gun. It's just
That's
six
what I
more
was
range
thinking.
ranges. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the plasma against plasma.
Hmm.
Although I think the plasma executioners and stuff are much better than a plasma gun. Stat-wise.
Yeah,
They
way
were
better.
notably a jump, right?
Yeah, longer range. But so the standard one was most like a plasma gun, but it was just longer range.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
then they
Well,
had
very
obviously
possible.
the assault and the heavy version.
Yeah. Who's
Who's
Ed?
very excited to be
Who's
here.
this guy?
I don't know, but he's very excited.
His ceiling's very pretty. I
Ed
like the
Cottrell.
white.
Is he really tall or is he?
Who is he, Ed?
Short?
Hold on, I need to listen. Who's Ed?
Is that Tony's son or something?
I think it might be. That makes sense.
Tony. Who's
The
Tony?
Forge World guy.
Oh.
He's very excited to be here. He's very energetic, very smiley.
He hasn't seen people for several weeks.
Here we go.
Oh, wait, who is
That
he?
makes sense. Let's turn the stream up and listen. Oh, he was involved in the creation of this new box set.
Well, that's quite a vague thing, right?
Okay, we find out.
So they're going through the design process of the box. Okay. It's all right.
3 years ago is when he started working on it.
So it looks like he's a
Wow.
3D designer.
Yeah.
And he hasn't shaved since.
I mean,
They
I
locked
could
him in
also,
that
I
room
could
for
also
3
only grow
years.
that much of beard in 3 years. Oh,
Oh, okay, so he designed all of the marine stuff basically.
Oh, cool.
Is what he did.
Cool.
That's
Well,
it.
it does look good,
That's
though.
it.
Good job, Ed.
And he did Dark Imperium stuff as well, by the sounds of it. So
That also
he's
looked good.
basically done the new Outrider Stormcast chamber for the Space Marines, right?
Yes. He because his dad hired him to talk because he's not allowed to stream anymore. Lol.
Yeah, probably for the best, to be fair.
I want them to hurry up because really now I'm not overly interested in this reveal. I imagine they've bled viewers, right? It's not really been...
Not really, because everyone's been going to the community page to scroll
Read
down
the
the article
article.
instead.
So what did...
And that's counted as a viewer.
So what do you guys think of the box set overall? What are your takeaways?
9 out of 10, very good. Love it.
9 out of 10, very
Fantastic.
good. Love it. Okay.
It's all right. It's what I expected. It's nothing too shocking. I think the only thing that could stop me from getting my own one would be the price. If it's that much of a kind of sticking point, because I'm not wanting the Necrons. I only want half of it and the rule book. So
what would you want to pay?
I think anything more than 125 feels a stretch.
Okay. What do
That's
you?
a lot, right?
Yeah, isn't it 120? Haven't we already seen that leaked online?
I don't know.
A lot of people are saying it, but without any sources. So I'm not.
No, there was a
trusting it.
source up. There was a shipping manifesto. It was saying 120 or something.
Well,
okay.
let's put it this way: if it's 150 or lower, I will jump on it like a tramp on chips. Like,
Wow.
it's just. Well, no, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
it just feels the same. Maybe it wasn't the best one, but okay.
So model-wise,
yes, looks
how
really
would you
good to
compare
me.
it to Shadow Spear? Because it's about that sort of level of models, right?
But it looks better than Shadow Spear to me. Like,
That
what was the opposing force in Shadow Spear? I completely forgot.
Chaos.
Was it
Chaos.
Slaanesh? Oh, is it the Chaos stuff? Yeah.
The Venom Clone stuff. Because that was 100.
Because that was just Marines and Marines.
Yeah, that was 105. I'm just trying to think about price points.
Well, Sisters of Battle was 120.
Oh,
And that had cards and the book, though. That was a bit of a weird one.
so guys. So those what are those Necron things that are like poking out the barrels that are kind of hunched over? Let me have a look. See if we can find
Oh,
them.
they're
Well,
quite cute.
don't also don't forget if it's 120, that's a really good point from Stufflin. If it's 120 from Games Workshop, that means from a third-party store, it could be all the way down to £90, right?
So
Yeah. So if you're splitting it with a mate, £45. It's basically a start collecting box set, and half of that
then
looks
next
way
to
better than a start collecting box set.
Yes.
so
It's pretty good value.
Plus the book.
if you guys scroll down to the crypto frauds,
Yeah.
in 2015 there was a Welsh drama where there was this list called the Kennel Star, and the Kennel Star was 50 Fenrisian wolves with characters inside as a big Death Star, right?
Right.
And to make this list, my mate who played Space Wolves didn't have the models, so he decided to convert some. And because it was for the ETC, they were barrels with all. So he'd like have models that were like a barrel from a terrain set with an orc head on the top of it and Necron legs,
And that was a wolf.
or sprues, and that was a wolf.
Oh my
It
god.
was a dog. It looked like he made it look like a dog, and these crypto frauds looked like reared up Fenrisian wolf star things because of the barrels.
Man,
That's
I'm gonna file a police
Yeah.
complaint about
Here's the
that.
thing: you don't
Yeah.
have to, because
That is a pretty awful hobby crime.
you don't have to, because when it came time to drive home after we got off the flight, Simon forgot to pack his KR multi-case in the car, and Mike reversed and drove over his own army.
Well, I think the fact that it even exists in the first place is the crime.
So the copy crime is no more.
Okay, so-
Although, top plug for KR, the army survived.
Oh, okay, well done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
KR multi-cases are brilliant. They're baller. Like,
They were the case was a bit messed up, but the army was okay. Well, as okay as it ever was.
well, I haven't had any problems with KR.
No, good. I like KR.
Other than I've just got too many armies to actually deal with it, right? Because it's another expense, isn't it? The KR stuff. Yeah. Well, for me, I think it looks fine. I'm not overly invested or interested in either of the two armies. I think all the sculpts are great,
They're really cool.
but they're super cool. But I don't really have a marine collection to talk of, and so I probably won't spend my money on it. for me, because I'm not interested in either of the two forces. I'm not interested in starting a Necron force. I'm not interested in starting a Marine force. So I'm pretty happy. For me,
Yeah,
I think
my
I think
main
it looks.
thing is it's the amount of extra money I'm spending just to get the models with a rulebook, right?
Yeah, I think that would be something I considered, especially if I bought the box and if I got the rule book on the app for free, then I probably would do that and then sell off all of the models. Would be probably my process.
I'd still want to keep the physical rulebook though, just so I can carry it around.
No,
Just
yeah, that's
so.
what I would do. I would keep the rule book, and I would
Oh, right, I see.
and I would get the digital rule books. If I'm buying a rule book anyway, I need to just ask myself, well, actually, can I reduce the price of the rule book? Is what I'm trying to say. Like by buying the box. So yeah, but it looks great. It looks great. And if you're a
Yeah, I love
noob,
it.
like if you're into either of those two armies, it looks like it's a great box. It's also a great way, Nick, of putting a lot of Necron armies out in the world, because all of the Marine players are going to be all over it, right?
Yeah.
But that means that we might get a bunch more Necron players out there in the world.
Yes, the marine explosion will have a byproduct of more Necrons exploding forth into the universe, which will be great. More Tomb Worlds, yeah. And hopefully that means more minds to the melting pot of figuring out how to make Necrons great.
Yeah,
It'll be the new codex, right?
Well, it's about the
Sort of
quality of the minds, not the quantity of the minds, as we discussed earlier with the Facebook thing.
Yeah, but 1,000 monkeys will type Shakespeare, won't they?
Will they?
Well,
Give
you
an
can make an
infinite
AI
time.
write really good Batman comics. I've seen that.
Well, it won't be long until they can teach an AI to do rules as good as the 40k rules, right? Especially the points algorithm. Because their current system obviously is to stick it into a bingo box, just swirl it around, and then pull out a number. Right, what's everyone in the chat think? Everyone in the chat, I love both factions, so I'm chuffed, says Bob Monkey Cheese. Bob Monkey Cheese, I'm really happy for you. Super proud, super happy for you. And AI definitely would word the rules better, says Ultra Present. I kind of agree with that. You can still get cheap Death Guard from the previous box. Can you online? I'm actually quite tempted by that, because I lost my Death Guard, sadly, in a robbery about a year and a half ago. I lost my whole Death Guard army. So I wouldn't mind getting at least the Marine elements of it back up and running. Someone's eating some crisps.
It's not me. That's all I'm going to say.
So I was just getting some bases out of a bag. Sorry.
I love Marines. I'll split the box with sources, Jack. Cracking work. I'm happy about that. Trained. I'm not going into that. Okay.
You always said it though, Rob. You were like, I'm not gonna read that. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'd say it's not been. I think it's been about as Dayton Obra, Nikos, start the hype train. There you go. Everything looks cool, and I like that they have transforms for other chapters. That's good. Honest Wargamer. So, what happens to the armies like Dark Angels with DWRW, and how are the old Marines have been replaced with effectively Primaris? Death Watch?
So Deathwing and Ravenwing. So they've already said in the narrative that there's a Ravenwing Primaris dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these transfers for this box had Ravenwing decals.
Well, they'll just be those old Deathwing and Ravenwing dudes being Primarist, won't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the floodgates have opened since they did Calgar, right?
Oh, everything that you know and love that isn't a Primaris is going to get a Primaris version eventually. So that's how it's going to work. There's no equivocation about that, right? Like,
exactly.
So if there's
It's
some
an
sort,
inevitability like death.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty dark, Scrivs. Actually, thinking about it, I don't know why you brought that up. That was pretty strong. So basically, the older models are going to have to be rebought, and the old become paperweights. Yes, that will be the case.
Well, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, the old Marines don't need to become paperweights. You can join the Chaos forces.
Yeah.
And turn your old Marines into Chaos Legionnaires. Because they still have the
rules occasionally.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm kind of interested to see. I don't know about you, Nick and John, but I'm excited to see all of those Ultramarines with all of their decals and lovingly painted, pretending to be Alpha Legion one more time. Normal Marines will be realigned to Heresy. That is an interesting... Alex,
Rob, you're dead.
no, I'm not. I'm there. Hello?
Oh, you're back.
There you go.
You're back now. We lost you for a big long bit there.
Oh, okay. Apologies about that. That's a really clever. Alex Graham made a really clever point over on YouTube. Imagine if you could play with if they were really smart, and they just said that you could use all of your original Marines in the Horus Heresy.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's a good idea.
That would
Why
be.
can't you do that anyway?
Huh?
What's stopping you do that now?
Well, the armor marks are the main thing. normally.
Okay, yeah. So it's not historically accurate. Oh, that's future armor.
Yeah.
I see.
Anything after Mark IV becomes problematic, right?
Yeah, Makina says that alone, obsolescence, stops me from getting back into 40k. I have a huge Marine army. Yeah, I completely understand Makina, but don't forget, it's been 3 years of Primaris releases, so they effectively, with rules, already made Marines useless in the game. And not to be... Oh, Nick, there's a Necron trailer.
Was there? Sweet.
Okay.
I tell you what, some of these...
Hey, look, never mind. I can't say that.
The Silent King.
That's harsh.
We are the Eternal Scythe. I'm really sorry that your army is invalid.
Mine.
No, talking about to Mackin in the chat, it says he spent thousands of hours paying that army. Yeah, I mean you could just to be honest, Mackin, you could just always put them on a 32mm base, which I'm sure you will have already. Primaris on 32s. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just playing with your mates, and just say, look, I spent hours playing this. Can I just use my normal Marines as Primaris Marines?
Yeah.
I'm sure your mates would be.
Wait, have I missed something, guys? Because I did a thing that meant I had to deal with it. Has something happened?
No, we're just talking to someone in the chat
not
who's spent a lot of time painting up his Marine models, and he's upset that they are effectively obsolete when it comes to gaming in a space. But it's not obsolete if you're playing with your mates, and maybe there's even some TOs who wouldn't mind you just playing them as Primaris.
Or again, chaos is always welcome.
Or you can play historical Warhammer and play stuff set between the Horus Heresy and before Gilliman returns.
Yeah.
Play 5th edition.
But we're all, do you know what? We're all flirting around the point because we're trying to make you feel better. Yes, 40k Games Workshop are working on planned obsolescence for their model ranges, and either using rules or just flat replacements. So it has to be something you're aware of before you get into it, or when you're making purchasing choices. That's why Nick's been in the hobby a long time. Like, Nick will do anything he can not to give Games Workshop a penny and kit bash something or build something that is not.
Apart from Crystal, he won't do that.
Yeah, he won't do that.
That's what it's tipped to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has taken a while for the Marines to get replacements, but they rules wise have been pretty obsolete for a while. So that's an issue, and it's an unfortunate issue. I wish I could give you some sort of positive news about that. I think the idea that they are a company, they need to do it. I mean, it's been a long time. You've still got the army, right? It's all painted up. It's nice.
It doesn't disappear the minute that the rules become unviable. I know it's frustrating, but they're still there.
Yeah. And also, great decision. If you ever want to just play Chaos, and if you just drill holes in them, stick spikes on them, there's no one that will ever know that there's different from one thing to the next, right?
No, I don't even think you need to do that to play Chaos with your Marines. You just say, look, they've only just turned to Chaos this morning.
Renegade chapter.
Yeah,
Renegade chapter.
And also, look at Necrons, for example. Just like we were talking about Nick. Nick's still got a bunch of Necron warriors. Now, where it would be really problematic is if there's the two weapon types, there's the new Gauss weapons and the old Gauss ones. If the new ones are so much better than the old ones that you have to get the new sculpts to get the new weapons, that obviously would just be crappy. But I agree with up there, Boring Man. No, Scott B at the top. who said eventually it's going to happen to our Orc boys. There's going to be new Orc boy sculpts. There's going to be new
Primaris
Eldar
Orcs.
sculpts.
Yeah.
Primal.
Yeah, there's going to be new Eldar sculpts. There's going to be everything eventually.
Mate, there better be new Eldar sculpts. I've been waiting for those for years, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of our models being invalidated is inevitable. Just like the sun coming up every morning.
Yeah, that's a nicer one. See, John.
There you go, Scrivo.
There you go. That was an easy. That was a better one to do.
That's a nice one.
All right. Still pretty negative.
I mean, the sun coming up's a good thing.
I don't know. I don't really like the sun.
Jamie, I
Scrivo
love my
doesn't do well on
RBTO1 Marine Army, Rocky 1989. Good.
I've got a nerd tan from it.
Look at squats. Some people still use them as Imperial Guard models. That's true.
They're about as useful.
I think the balance is if it was just something like a character, you can kind of take that on the chin, right? Like Gazgul get replaced, you could just be like, yeah, whatever, it's one model. But it's when it's your troop choice, makes it a little bit more of a kind of
A steady
punch.
thing, right?
Can I just say some info right now? So the guy that they've got on the stream is a guy called Max. Yeah.
Oh, he's one of the sculptors, isn't he?
No. He works in heavy metal team. Yeah. Max is cool as fuck. He's chill. He's really passionate about what he does. He's really talented, which is true of everyone in the heavy metal team. Massive fans of both the heavy metal team and Max. Great group of people. Like, he's super cool. He's really switched on. I know that when I was at Games Workshop, he was talking about there's a really good. Have you guys ever watched competitive Smash Bro? No, the documentary.
Smash Bros.
No, the documentary.
Oh no.
So if you guys have ever got the opportunity to watch that, I mean, it's that and King of Kong are two of my favourite documentaries when it comes to computer games. But yeah, you should watch the competitive Smash Bros documentary. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's which one? Great question, Moon Tyrannid. It was the one where it starts out with the kids. It's basically the start of it. I don't know which one it is. It's this beginning one. I'll try and find it. But anyway. Max has watched that. It was on Netflix for a while, and we talked about that for a while. And he wants to get, because obviously Golden Demon painting and all that, competitive painting is a big deal. It's a thing. Yeah. So he was like, how can we create that to be an even bigger thing than it was? So he's really cool. That's all I've got to say. He's a great dude. So if you're looking for a cool dude,
Seems like a cool dude.
So the counterpoint to the whole people saying that the Primaris route is a bit cowardly, they've done the complete opposite with the Necrons. They are just new Necron warriors, right? So they are doing it sometimes.
I don't think that's. I think that's just them upgrading.
But they're not invalidating people's current collection. They're just saying, look, the models that you have are still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they'd have just see, Nick, I've lost you. John?
Yeah, his Nick's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlucky. He'll be back.
He's paused on a great
Much
shot.
like a Necron, he'll be back.
He's paused on a great shot.
Need to wait for him to reanimate.
Okay.
I still think these new Necron warriors look really cool, though. I really like them.
Yeah.
You know.
Am I back? Can you guys
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, we
back
can hear you. Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
I really like the guns and the poses. I think were a lot better.
The Necron Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, yeah, the old Necrons I didn't like very much, but Necron Warriors, sorry. But these ones look great. Yeah. I'm sure folk would have complained if the Marines had got suddenly bigger either way. I think also maybe Marines suffered a lot from. I feel like we could all talk about the fact that Games Workshop over the past not over the past few years, but over the decades before, they definitely they were suffering from a lot of mismanagement. They didn't have a cohesive long-term plan.
I get you.
You know, and it now feels like that there is at least. I mean, this if nothing else, the Necron release shows me that there is an obvious. They're like, right, we are gonna update and modernize 40k. That's what we're gonna do. New models, new sculpts, everything. So for me, I'm pretty excited because I think we're gonna see. So it's gonna be look like a prettier board, right? Everything's gonna look better.
It's gonna bang.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean,
it's an aesthetic we're invested into as much as anything, right?
Yes.
You could just buy any old Space Warrior figures if you were really that fussed, just about playing a game and with a budget.
Yeah. Again, which
So-
is another criticism competitive players get, that they don't give a shit what things look like, and that's true for some.
All the criticism is given to competitive players, never the other way around. Competitive
know.
players don't tend to give a shit about what everyone else does, but everyone else seems to give a shit about
Well,
competitive players'
hold
stories.
on. That's my point. I think it's only like a couple of fringe cases that aren't
Yeah.
really a factor.
People like to tar a whole group of people with one brush. If you see like people at the ETC, like Tom's example a minute ago, having a barrel with Necron legs and an orc head on,
Yeah.
like that's one dude making a choice to make some utterly atrocious models to save some money to take a bent list. Whereas, a lot of competitive
Which we're
players
fine with.
still like to have really nice looking armies.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
fine with it, Tom. I'm not
I
fine
am.
with it. Nah,
I'm fine with
I think it's a basic standard that's kind of being encroached
Yeah,
upon.
I'm not
personally,
fine with
but
that at all.
That's my,
Have-
I've got
okay,
a
so
hobby standard to that.
Let's put it this way: none of you actually saw the models.
I don't give a
No,
shit.
but I'm
I
just
think
saying,
you've
the
described it
theory
enough to me.
behind
It's not a
it, Tom,
wolf.
the way you
Yeah,
described
yeah. I
It's not a
described
wolf.
it in an intentionally evocative way.
All right.
Yeah.
I saw
It's
the
not a-
models
it's
and I
not a
was
wolf,
like,
though, is it?
That we're upset.
Oh no,
by
no,
it.
of course. I'm not surprised that you're upset with it. But at the same time, if you want to rag on it, at least get basic facts first, rather
Yeah.
than just one dude just actively giving a story for comedic effect.
Yeah. My fact
And
is,
then
it
to get
wasn't a
other
wolf.
sources.
Sorry, I couldn't hear either of you. You just
No.
spoke over each other.
No, I think the hobby, in a competitive setting or non-competitive setting, should always have a standard. Like, if someone is
that's
like,
fine.
I want, I would think that should be true at events, because and again, I'm not talking about, this isn't my argument. I'm a competitive gamer and I want the game to look like it is. Yeah, I don't
Right.
want someone
So
to like stick
surely
a
the
barrel
basic
on a
standard
thing.
then there is: can you tell what that model is by looking at it?
No,
Okay,
that's
well there we are.
bull-
It's just different standards then. That's fine.
yeah. I
You
think
don't have to agree on that. That's entirely
Yeah.
based upon opinion. It's not something
Exactly.
you can ever say, oh, well, unless your model looks like this, then I'm not happy with it. It's like, well, my standards are a little bit lower than yours, and that's fine. That's not a problem.
Because I can appreciate that someone's not the most competent of painters or wants to be the most competent of painters, but if they've made an effort to put their figures on
that's
the
got
table,
nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with
That's-
painting.
yeah, but that's
It's got
my
nothing
other
to do
side
with
to that
painting.
as well. But, yeah.
It's I can't be asked to buy some wolves, but I want to run this bent list. That's got nothing to do with that. It's just shit. Like,
If you say so, bro. If you say so, that's fine. That's your perspective. I'm like, if it's for ETC, as far as I'm concerned, if someone is capable, roots for their stuff,
why
it's
did
mixed,
the
yeah, that's fine.
person make barrels with Necron legs as opposed to buy the wolf kit?
Because when you have to get so many wolves, it's an issue. But also, it was just like 5 models. It was like 5. The store didn't have any. I don't know. Let's put it this way: I wasn't on the team at the time, but at the same time, if he's capable of making models that actually look like wolves from his bits box, I don't really have an issue.
well, if they
Especially
look like
TTC.
wolves, if they look like
Yeah.
wolves, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like, which is a different kettle of fish. The thing I always remember is,
And you have to remember that these Space Wolf wolves are kind of cybery as well.
yeah. Right. We're not going to see any rules or narrative from these guys,
I
are we?
think that's it for them, really. I can't
Yeah.
see much more else coming, unless they do that whole one last thing.
I
But they
know.
haven't
There's
done
such
that
a
last few times,
there's such a
have they?
Marvel like crap, isn't it? Where you got to wait till the end to see if they're like blah. If they put something
Is
out
there
there.
an end credit scene?
Yeah, is there going to be an
with a
end credit
flash of the
scene?
wolves going up?
Come on, I want to know. What's the chat? Has the chat slowed down, or are they still asking for Stompers to be great? Because that's what I want to know.
Oh, I've now got enough points to put something.
plop another one
right,
in.
guys.
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
have
Nick-
enough points yet. I used them all on a debated when they baited the Primarch reveal.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, when they did the video where Scribble was getting excited about potentially seeing Lionel Johnson.
Oh,
Cockteeth.
bless him.
Yeah.
Bless
so
him.
heartbroken now.
Cullerman and like,
Sorry.
I'm gonna go back to playing like a different thing. I don't know. Badly.
go back to
Play
playing
badly.
something else I don't play. There you go.
Do you know what? I think maybe it was my me playing the Heresy that's made me very uninterested in playing Marines. I think
The
I
irony
just
of that.
well, I know. Well, I got into Heresy, and I collected Death Guard, and I collected Emperor's Children. That's what I started out with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really into it. I was like, these are great because they were some of the things that feature in some of the earlier novels. But
That's
then-
the 4 and 5 of Horus Heresy, right?
yeah, but then I mean, Emperor's Children in it from the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah. They got their own book in Fulgrim in book 5. But yeah.
But eventually, I was just like, do you know what? Everything but Marines is the interesting bit. And it's not to say that Marines aren't interesting, because they genuinely are, and I genuinely think the narrative Marines is really interesting as well. It's just because they're so the standard, it's the other elements that I found fascinating to explore, which I imagine what a lot of other people have got into. But you look at the other stuff and you just think, oh my god, there's the whole other world of other than two people going, brother.
Yeah.
And with the incense, brother.
But the internal conflict and politics of Marines is super interesting, and I think that it's genuinely well done by the Black Library authors. I just think that there's so much more to that. No, I do think that. I honestly do. But I do think that the rest of the game and design space could be still so innovative. It's still so untapped, and I kind of like exploring that part of it. I think it's still really, really exciting. But then also, Marines have not been good for a long time, so it's quite like, even 8th edition Marines weren't good for a long time, were they? You didn't see them on the table.
No. Like, you'd see him and you think, oh, free win, lol.
Yeah. Look at you, narrative gamer. This is a laugh. And now, they're these powerhouses. So it's kind of, as much as Games Workshop would talk about Marines all the time, you would never see Marines. Now you see them all the time. So now Games Workshop are talking about it. So I feel even less inclined to collect Marines at the minute. Even less inclined to be interested in them.
I'm the other way around because I think those models look really cool.
Yeah.
That's about it. Love it.
No. They're not running. I really like the other stuff, especially Xenos armies, but so many of the Xenos armies sculpts have barely changed. Yes.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I think that's the exciting thing in the next 3 or 4 years. New Orcs, new Eldar.
One of the things that I'm most excited about and reimagining of as an entire army is Tyranids, I think. Because similar to Necrons, the Necron warriors looked pants before, now the new ones look amazing, and new destroyers and stuff like that. Now, Gaunts and Termagants and stuff like that. To an extent, Gene Stealers and Tyranid warriors, they're one of the weakest parts of the range. So I can't wait to see how they, and if they do reimagine those, they'll be incredible.
I can see what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm super excited for that when that rolls around.
Yeah. Yes, please, Tyranids. Yes. I mean, GC the Colts are incredible, right? The GC the Colts sculpts are amazing.
Yeah, that was a great release. They're amazing.
Apparently, the creators that came up with Space Marines are disappointed in what Space Marines were made by Games Workshop. Apparently, they consider Games Workshop idea of them to be very limited and boring. Very interesting.
Okay.
That's very interesting. I haven't heard that. But I'd be interested. I think also one of the things that, as much as the originators of something, I'm trying to think of an example. The originator, John, you might be able to give me some context on this. The originator of the Joker, the character. I mean, the Heath Ledger version of the Joker and also the latest version of the Joker were incredible in my opinion. The TV adaptation. Sorry, the film adaptations. Yeah, very different, but they're very different from what the originators.
Not the Jared Leto one, though.
No, not the Jared Leto
skipping
one.
over that one. Yeah, we're skipping that one, thanks.
Because the entire concept's actually a rip-off from a film anyway.
Oh, really?
It's a film called The Man Who Laughs, and basically it was just they completely ripped the whole thing.
But I imagine the original creators were the people who made The Man Who Laughs wouldn't have necessarily approved of the Joaquin Phoenix version.
It's often the way.
Yeah. So I think that's always going to be the case, right? But yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, unless they're going to do, come on. I want to see this final thing, mainly because I'm desperate to.
We've been going for an hour and 36 minutes. So.
Who they have?
Yeah.
But they're having their little.
They're not revealing the price. They've just confirmed.
They're not what? Couldn't hear it. They're not revealing the price.
Oh. Why? Why are they so secretive about absolute rubbish? Why?
Because they're scared of what they're allowed to say.
It's a big number then. Right? My local chat's already talking about. They think it could even go up to £200.
What
for the limited box?
For that, which I'm just.
They say it's not limited, but when it's gone, it's gone. Okay.
So Wrath and Rapture that's still on sale now.
But just sell it. Just tell us what the price is. It's such a weird setup to not want to tell us the price.
It's just frustrating me.
Yeah, honestly, I find that super odd. Just tell me the price. Tell me what's in the box.
They say it's the best box they've ever made. Okay.
Okay. Isn't Thingy out today? Or has it gone on pre-order? The Custodian's book. It's on pre-order today.
It's on pre-order
Yeah.
today, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, which means Man Who Reads Book will have read it. Yes, I can go watch it.
He might not have had a copy because they didn't have Engine War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
None of
they
them.
No!
haven't
Man Who
come
Reads
out.
Book is the best guy ever. I like that guy. Man Who Reads Book. The way they're talking, it's going to be pricey. Full Grima. So, okay, that could be a new thing. We've seen price increases.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your guys? You guys were guessing 120.
But I have a
150. 150.
No, I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to be exactly what we saw on the manifest, which we've seen a leak that says it's a certain price. So I think it's going to be that price.
Which is
120 is what the leak was.
20. Okay.
Because
If it is, that's really good value.
the Phoenix box was 125 or 120. This feels like it's got more to it.
Nick, there's going to be so many Necrons online for you to snaffle up on eBay.
Yeah, I'm going to
Oh,
them.
baby. You're going to be
fast.
snaffling up Necrons like you wouldn't believe. But
Yeah.
no new rules is wild. Why have we got no new rules? I don't think it'll be expensive. They want people in, man. They want the rulebook sold. They want the thing they can sell in the store. That's what I reckon they want. So, anyway, come on, just end the stream.
Oh, it's a video. There you go.
Here we go. It's got a guitar thing on it,
I always love a video at the end. Let's react.
but it's still scuffed.
Da, 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 da.
Oh.
Destroyers. There you go.
Oh.
Buggies.
Buggies.
Oh, quad bike things.
Oh, quad bikes look amazing!
Oh, that's new. I haven't seen
Turret.
the autocannon turret before.
Oh, gangster! Little
Heavy
gun
destroyer.
emplacements.
Servo
I'm into
turrets. They're quite cool.
That's good.
The heavy
That looks
destroyer.
like,
An Inceptor style dude.
The turret looks
Those are cool
awful.
buggies.
The turret looks awful.
Oh,
Buggy.
no, I like the turret.
I like the buggies.
turret.
I'm into
You know
the
what it
buggy.
looks like?
Quad bike
The
things
buggy.
look better.
I
The
like
buggy is the
turret
one.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now I have something to react to, and the stream's over. There we are.
Yeah, perfect. Right, number
Shut the
one,
stream down.
gun emplacement. I think looks super shit. What are
I
your
love
thoughts?
it. I think it looks great.
The turret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
don't
looks
mind
like-
it. I think it
Have you
looks
ever
quite
played
cool.
the original Star Wars Battlefront 2?
Yeah.
You know the turrets on what's the first mission map? There are some turrets in there, and it looks like those.
Well, they had turrets back in the day. Like, this isn't like a new idea. Like,
Yeah.
they've had turrets since like one of the first like space.
Space Crusade.
Yeah, I think it's called Space Crusade. Like the first like version of like Space Hulk. They had like a turret thing in that.
Yeah,
So they're just kind of going back to their roots.
I like the turret. I think it looks cool, and you won't convince me otherwise.
What do you think,
Buggy
John?
Things?
No, turret. I need a turret review.
Oh, the turret.
Quick.
The turret just looks like it's going to be a stationary thing that shoots people. Maybe not even with line of sight. So maybe
Well-
replacing the Thunderfire cannons.
Okay,
Yeah, leave that
Scrivo,
aside.
Scrivo, I need to point something out here. It's got auto cannons on it, so it doesn't matter what you think of it, you won't see it.
Oh, well, we'll see.
That's gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so turret mare. John, Tom likes it. John doesn't like it. Nick, and
don't like
you
it.
said sorry.
I like it because one of the details that I saw in the quick flash is that he's got a thing plugged into his eye, so he can aim it better, and that's just cool.
Bollocks. Okay, where have we seen these images? We
You
just
put
saw it as a
plasma things on
video.
it, that could be
We
cool.
we saw it at a video at the end of the stream, is what we saw.
Have you emailed people yet? No. Okay.
All right, so then, all right, next up, the buggy. Are we all 10 out of 10 for the buggy?
Love the buggy.
Yeah,
Looks like the Halo buggy.
100%.
The buggy's the future. The buggy's the best of the bit.
Yeah.
The buggy,
Buggy
holy
spam.
shit.
I want buggy spam armies. That's what I want.
Okay, and then we saw some new. What do we see? New buggy, new dude.
We saw a new floaty destroyer.
Oh yeah, he looked
that's
great.
cool.
Heavy
They look
destroyer.
cool.
Yeah,
He looked chunky, like shoulders and stuff. It looked really cool.
yeah.
And like the back half of him was kind of like a bit more really curved and droopy almost, whereas the current version is quite straight.
It's a warthog. That's what I was thinking of. Those buggies look like a warthog from Halo.
Yes,
That's it.
yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm really into that. Love the buggy. But I love the heavy destroyer as well, Nick. That
Yeah,
heavy
it was
destroyer.
great.
Oh, yeah. And then there was some more tall boys, weren't there?
Okay, Ash Loftus is putting all the things in the chat so I can react to it.
Nice.
No, not this chat. Me and Scrivo's chat. You don't guys don't get pictures.
I can actually see it.
But
It
can you
looks like
can you
those-
listen to the
those
conversation
turrets-
and reply to that? Huh?
the turrets look like they're going to be stationary because they haven't got wheels of
It's
any
how we get
sort,
it on the battlefield.
or any like things to make them repositionable at all.
No, they
They
got
look
legs.
just
The
flat
legs will
panels.
just walk around.
They're quite flat though. They don't look like walking legs, but I don't know.
Okay, well, so everyone, like Twitch chat, everyone who's just joined us, thanks for joining us, by the way. Review of the reveal would be pretty underwhelming because we've seen it all before. But we got to see But we got to see some new models at the end, which is really exciting. The bot looks, and I don't know what if you got a top-down view of it, Nick? What do you think as a review?
Of the box or of the review?
The whole thing, the review, the react to the review.
If the price is as we speculate, it's a really good value starter box. So it's a really good time to start Necron Army. Necrons are the future. So
Necron meta.
Play Necrons.
John, what about you? Review, boxes, new models. What's your top down?
New models all really excite me. I'm not really bothered by the Necrons, but that's my personal take on that. Box, I think, is great, but I'm really apprehensive about pricing because they have, each time they've done a new box set, even like battle boxes, they're getting more and more. And if it's too expensive for me to try splitting and then I'm sitting on trying to sell Necrons, it's a bit of a hit, but we'll see.
Okay. Tom, what about you?
Love it. Love all the models. I have both the armies because I have all the armies. Definitely buying it if it's not more than £170. Yeah, good. Fantastic. I had a great time assembling my Stomper today too.
Good. Right, boxes. Box for me was fine. Like it's a good box for people who want to jump into Necrons and Marines, which is cool. New rulebook art looks great. So I think that's fun. I think the review itself was pretty rubbish. I genuinely watched two human beings from a multinational company open a box and show me plastic sprues, which I thought was like I think that was pretty dumb. And I get it. Like they want to jump off with the model. And I do know that they want to space out how much that they reveal, right? So like today it's the models, and we all get to talk about them. Then in a couple of days we get to see a new rule, so we get to talk about that. So they want to drip feed stuff to keep us on this cycle. I would have liked to have known the lore at least of some of the new units. Like I would have liked to have known like where the equipment comes from, or how we've seen like a heavy destroyer, or what the big tall boy that heals stuff is. I want to see some. I would have liked to have seen some context, so I'm not just like, oh, it's a dude. Do you know what I mean? That would have. I think that would have been. I love hearing from the sculptors that they would have had on, and I'm going to go listen back into that in more detail because they normally are the people who will be able to bring the lore to it as well. But I think I would have liked to have seen some bullet points, some bullet pointed lore. Sure, Warhammer doesn't have enough bullet points, I reckon. That's my review.
And more examples, like from the get-go, being able to go, right, this box set isn't just Ultramarine stuff, to encourage people to start thinking about it in their sort of in their army, perhaps as well.
Listen. Yeah. So my review, the review of the box is cool. The new models also look great, but my review of the reveal was like meh. Could have done much better. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and if they are just going to do two men opening a box, like they should have thought about the camera angle, like a top-down camera with the box as you're opening it, rather than just
something
pointing at someone's face.
I mean, they had one of the most famous model designers in the world use a webcam microphone to tell us about their brand new release for a multi-million-pound company. That's pretty embarrassing. Scott B says so a little quote from them. We can safely say they're hardly the last new kits you'll see for both Primaris Space Marines, so even more Primaris kits and Necrons, including multi-part kits, big centerpiece models. John, you still got some hope for your. Some new ones we haven't seen yet.
So that's terrain. So centerpiece model sounds like terrain to me.
It could be a Primarch though.
Fuck you, Games Workshop, and your stupid.
And more vehicles. Stay tuned for more information as soon as we have it. I've seen better porn reviews, says Jabs. Attack Bikes, says 40k Buddy. Bare minimum YouTube unboxing quality. That's probably the review.
No, it was fine. I like. Here's the thing. I just liked it. I liked it.
But it shouldn't be fine. Like we're already hype. We're hype. We were already invested in the hobby.
The videos were pretty hype, and then you just give them to the guys, and then they just said, "Okay, go and do what you can with it." And it's like, well, I don't know, man. I'm trying to look at this from like a creative standpoint. Like if I was lobbed in that scenario as those two, as Adam and Eddie there, what would I do, or what would I want?
Well, you could do better. I mean, we
Well,
could
what
talk
could
about
they do? What could they do better there?
Well, they could
specifically?
send the correct audio equipment to their interviewees for a start. Yeah,
Okay,
like
there you go.
they could
That's one thing. Okay.
they could have had top-down views of the sprues if they wanted, but I wouldn't have done that because they could have just flashed up some pictures quick. Narrative interviews, lore interviews, rules interviews. You could have interspersed it a lot better. Like, and
Okay, well,
the
you could've
pacing
done
was
all that.
also
That's fine. So
pacing
that's
was
now
also-
constructive, which is good. But I'm also I'm when they reveal something like this, I'm more fussed about what they're revealing than how it was presented. And what they revealed, I thought was really cool.
No, agreed. Like, I've already talked about that. Like, I've
Yeah,
done
that's
my
fine.
review of that. The stuff's good, but I'm also reviewing how they do it because that's also a valuable thing.
That's also your experience as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just also interesting, right? Like,
Yeah.
because the other thing that you want to do with the new edition is get new people in, right?
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to get new people. So if I was to say, "Hey, I play this awesome game," they're like, "Cool, what it's like." I'll definitely send them the the 3D animation video that they made. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'll like send them that. They'll be like, "Oh my god, this looks fucking wicked." Then I'll send them a Starties video. They'll be like, "Yeah, I'm in." Yeah. And they'll be like, "Where can I find out about the new edition?" I'll be like, "There's these two blokes in their bedroom. Go."
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my thoughts.
I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Those are my
for
thoughts. Right.
Actual
Yes,
starters, like so, they're saying this isn't not a starter box, but traditionally for the last lot and for Age of Sigmar, they've done this whole 3 price point approach to like boxes to get people into it. So if this isn't for starters, what are they going to do for those sorts of people? Because it's price points like 25, 50, and then the big Dark Imperium thing that no starters really were buying unless they were properly deep into it from the get-go. So perhaps we're going to see some other options with these sort of sprues as well, because they seem very unit-specific, the sprues, unlike Dark Imperium, which was everything's kind of smushed together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
definitely. I mean, I'm sure they did that with Age of Sigmar, didn't they? Like slowly come out with like 3 different levels of how to get into it.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, they did.
Which works really well and sells so damn well that I'm hopeful to see that, and then it means that maybe you'll be able to get some of the Necron stuff without having to have millions of the Warriors for you, Nick.
Yeah,
Nice.
maybe the bigger bits. Yeah, but I think the Warriors will always be the key element. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure doing this with you three, as per. Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank
agreed.
you.
Been good fun.
It's been really great. If any of you have enjoyed watching us talk about 40k or just anything, you can join us live every day. You can join us Mondays for Age of Sigmar, Thursdays for 40k. You can join us for live coverage. You can check out our schedule if you're new and you've never seen us before. Thank you to everyone who subscribes or supports us on Patreon or listens to it as a podcast, which you can always do as well. So this will be a podcast in but a few minutes.
Nice.
But we've been and you can join me tomorrow for day 90 of a stream streak. But you got any shout outs, anything you want to say before we wrap up? You've each got to go. Nick, what do you think? Anything you want to say, shout out?
just going to give a shout out to Gozzy. Hey up, Gozzy.
Knew it. Always Gozzy.
Tom, what about you?
Nah, models are cool. There you go.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant. John?
I'd like to do a shout out to my mate Tibble's Evil Cat, because he's just started doing commission painting, so
Oh, lovely.
even though he does play Ultramarines, which
Cheeky plug.
is inexcusable, but yeah.
Well, that's gross. Shadow Killer Althor, thanks for subscribing. Thanks to everyone, who subscribes or joins us on Patreon, because we don't accept any sponsors or freebies or anything. You're only ever going to get exactly what we think, even if we don't agree. So it's always great to support us if you can. But if you can't, that's cool too. Everyone have a great day. Look after yourselves.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Have a great day. Bye.
Right.